All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a One Take Podcast episode. And Happy New Year to everybody. It's a new year in 2024 now. Oh my God, I can't believe we're already in a new year. Sheesh, man.
You better believe it, baby. We're doing this shit again.
I know, right? I can't believe we're already doing another top 10 best and worst of this year again. So
Mhm.
it's felt fast. It felt really fast last year, honestly. But
Yeah.
we're back with that Samoan guy, my friend here. Welcome back, that Samoan guy. I know you said you were a little bit sick, so that's probably why you're gonna mute yourself every so often or so.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, like, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, obviously, I'm here, so I must be feeling kinda good, right? But I may just occasionally if I feel a coughing fit come on mid-sentence, it might just suddenly like, the audio might just cut. Do not
Yeah.
adjust the television sets. It is just me
Or your
dying on
YouTube
the
volumes. Don't.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's we might so often mute. That's why. So,
Yeah.
um.
And
s- oh, so go ahead.
I was also gonna just preface that, like, because of this, of the aforementioned illness, I did not get to watch nearly as many of the films as I wanted to for my list. I'm a little bummed, but I still think I've got a solid list.
I also felt like I didn't get to all the films I wanted to do, but I still felt like I got a good list here to at least give a good take on what I feel like is a good top 10 for me, at
Hmm.
least.
Mhm.
Before we do get to our top 10 of the best of, we're actually gonna start best of this time because I think we started worst of last time.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're
Um
right.
before we get to our top 10, I actually want to give honorable mentions to five other films here. I do have
Sure.
their posters up too, so I just want to give a brief like thought take on these five that I really did love, but they just didn't crack the top 10 unfortunately, because I do feel like there were 10 other films that were better this year, honestly. Um, so for the five films I have mentioned here, I have Barbie, which I did have on my previous list that we did half the year. It didn't crack the top 10, but I still really liked it, even though it didn't held up quite as much on a rewatch in terms of the humor and stuff like that. I still really thought it was a very thought-provoking and well-messaged film, honestly, for what it was.
Mm.
And then for my next one, I have Spider-Man into the Across the Spider-Verse.
Mhm.
Again, I really loved it, though I do feel like the cliffhanger ending kind of wiggles it down a bit from being like a perfect film to me. I know there are films that have cliffhanger endings that are also perfect, but I just feel like since this like really hinges on a sequel that we're probably gonna wait for another 2 years for,
Seriously.
it's like ugh, it's not really the most fun to end it on in a way. But I mean, it's still an amazing film regardless. It's an amazing achievement on animation, and I still love the hell out of it regardless. And it's definitely the best superhero movie I've seen this year, honestly. Still. Um, and the next film I want to mention is Flora and Son, which is an Apple TV Plus film actually that's directed by John Carney, who did Sing Street about 7 years ago, 8 years ago. Um, I love Sing Street and I love this film as well. It's pretty much about a mother and son trying to bond through music and stuff like that, and she like also finds a tutor in an American, uh, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, because it takes place in Ireland. So it's a really sweet film, and I really recommend it if you have Apple TV Plus, especially if you love music films and like Sing Street and other John Carney stuff. Honestly. Um, the second to last I want to mention real quick is Wonka. I saw this in theaters
Mm.
during Christmas weekend and I really, really dug it. Like it was such a sweet, heartwarming film by Paul King, who did also the Paddington movies before this. I actually just watched the Paddington films after this. I just watched them last week for the first time, and I really love the Paddington films a lot. So now I just feel like Paul King can do anything he wants at this point in the family genre. So fuck it, give him any Roald Dahl adaptation to do at this point. And the last film I want to mention for sure is a really good honorable mention that I still love even on rewatch is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. This was one of my favorites this year. One of the biggest surprises I feel like this year alone. the cast was amazing together. The visual effects were honestly really stunning since they did a mix of practical and CGI effects. And it was just so much fun. Like there was just so much fun energy throughout. I can't help but just have a lot of fun with it throughout. So those are my honorable mentions pretty much. Did you have any like honorable mentions you wanted to get through as well before we started off?
Yeah, I do. Just like like a lightning round, really quick that I did get around to watching, and I thought were really good. It's just that I liked my top 10 better. They aren't like lesser movies, but yeah, a couple might surprise you.
Okay, let's hit it, man.
I'll start with Thanksgiving. I really dug the hell out of
Thanksgiving, all right.
Thanksgiving. Yeah, the Eli Roth joke becomes
I didn't
reality
see it
movie.
yet, but I heard it's really, really good, and I want to see it.
It is quite a bit of fun. My only like literally the only reason it isn't in like my number 9 or my number 10 spot, somewhere on the list is because of the last 15-20 minutes. It's like Eli Roth like just stepped out of the room for the last 20 minutes of the movie and they just like run around like with chickens with their heads cut off. They have no idea what's happening. The pacing changes, the cinematography kind of changes, the editing changes, and the last scene is so drive-by fast that I could have sworn that it was just a joke. Like it's so unbelievably shitty. And I don't even like Eli Roth movies as a whole, but like I was ready to bow down and be like, "Hey, I was wrong, man. I judged you too harshly. I'm sorry." But then the ending happened and I went, "Oh, there he is." Now, honestly, the last 10 minutes of that movie, worst that he's ever been. The rest of the movie's great. I still thoroughly recommend the movie, but that last 20
So,
minutes just
so what you're saying is the first two thirds are like the best Eli Roth has ever done, and then the last third is like, oh, okay, we're back to regular Eli Roth.
even worse than regular year because
Oh no.
even like beforehand, like some of the movies of his that I've absolutely hated, I've still been able to comprehend it as a movie. But like I don't even know how to describe the last act of the movie. Like once you find out who the killer is, the movie completely changes identity, and it honestly feels like it's in a rush to get to just be over.
So it just feels
It
like it's by a different director at that point.
it's really bizarre, yeah. Um, there was a movie when we did our touch base earlier this year that you didn't like called We Have a Ghost,
Oh,
which,
okay.
which I saw, and I wanted to mention that I saw a movie this year that I think accomplishes what you were wanting out of We Have a Ghost.
What was that?
It's called Jules.
Jules, I've never heard of this thing.
It has Ben Kingsley and those two other old bitches. It's about an alien that crashes to Earth, and these three friends are just like kind of hanging out with him and keeping him company. And I think emotionally, it accomplishes what We Have a Ghost was going for. Um, it's also a bit funnier. Um, the
Anything is
pacing
funnier than we have a ghost.
the pacing is a bit odd, I will grant you, and literally there's a joke revolving killing cats
Oh
that's
goodness
that,
gracious.
like just doesn't like it doesn't have the greatest payoff. Like you're like, okay, I'm still waiting for the why, but still, oh, excuse me. We're nothing but professional on this podcast.
Obviously.
I also have Chicken Run 2, Dawn of the Nugget.
Oh,
That's
oh
a really,
yes.
really well. I always love that animation. There's a little bit of CGI in a couple of the shots, but for the most part, it's a nice
It's
return
still
to
stop
form.
motion for the most part, and I actually did
Yeah,
see this too, and I really dug it as well. I should
yeah,
have
it's a
mentioned
lot of
that.
fun. Yeah. I have John Wick 4 on my honorable
Oh,
mentions.
okay, okay. We're definitely gonna talk about that on my list probably later on. Mhm, I
Uh,
see.
little too long in the tooth for my taste, and I think the pacing uh, does not. This the pacing really hurts the movie experience for me. There's just too many moments where I'm like, I don't care. I just don't care
Gotcha.
about what I'm looking at here. And then something will happen. I'm like, ooh, now I care a lot. Because whenever the action is happening, I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
And Keanu Reeves is, I mean, he loves this role.
And
Um,
we love him for it.
and then my last one, actually, I have two more. I have Asteroid City.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. I loved Asteroid City this year.
I did too. I just didn't like it better than any of the other movies on my list because I think that movie is a little annoying.
Well, I feel like that's the point of it, though, in a way. Like it's supposed to get on some people's nerves, like with some of the humor.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
yeah,
appeal to everybody, but I really
no,
loved the set design and the cinematography. Like, it was so
mm,
gorgeous. It was such a
yeah.
gorgeous film.
Visually, it's probably one of his better
And
movies.
it sucks because it's probably not gonna get any nominations this year because there's other films for obviously that probably did look better, but it looks gorgeous, man.
Yeah, visually, really solid. Script and character wise, kind of meh. Wasn't really digging it.
Huh.
It was fine.
I really felt told. I felt actually the characters were actually really strong in this one, but that's just me at least. I love Jason Schwartzman in this role a
Oh,
lot actually.
wait till you get to my last runner-up movie.
Okay. Well, what's the last runner up?
It's fucking Oppenheimer.
Oh, oh my.
I did. I did. Um, I here's the bottom line for me on Oppenheimer is that I admire that movie more than I actually liked it, if that makes any sense. Again, kind of what you're saying with set design, production value, costumes, all the old person makeup is actually good. A lot of the times lately, it's just like really shitty. It's really shitty, or it's just CGI, and I'm like, "Ugh, I can tell it's fake though. But with this, I'm like, wow, they actually got someone whose like job it is to do makeup. Look at that. And Cillian Murphy is incredible. I'm so glad that he's like a leading man in this movie. Yeah, that's fair. And Robert Downey Jr. also I thought was pretty not like knocked it. Of course, he's always been great, but I think that if anyone had any doubts about like what's he gonna do after Iron Man, it's like, well, shut the fuck up. He could still do it. That said, I think that you could cut an hour out of that goddamn movie and it wouldn't make a lick of difference. I think that they repeat conflicts and moral issues, philosophical issues so many times, like two or three times, and I didn't feel there was a whole lot of difference between them. A little bit, but not enough to justify a 3 hour runtime. At the very least, you could cut it half an hour. Yeah, yeah, I'm glad I watched it. And it's I would actually like to sit down at one point with you. Maybe we'll do a Nolan verse episode because I have a lot of thoughts on his filmography. Um, yeah, and like I said, if you want to put a number on it, it's like an unofficial number 11 on my best list. Yeah. Mm-hmm, hmm. Yep. Hmm. Yep. Yeah, give it a watch. It's weird, but it's definitely like I like kind of mentioned with Oppenheimer. It's like, well, it's definitely like an experience. Mm-hmm. Sure. Ooh. Yeah, I actually I really wanted to watch this one, but I wanted the right environment to watch it in because it's so minimalist.
Oh shit, I just realized I muted myself the whole time for like 5 minutes. Oh my god, that is so dumb of me. Oh, god damn it. Well, to repeat what I was saying the past minute or so, however I was muted, um, I said my number 10 is Skinamarink for the official top 10 because we're going into our best of now.
Mm.
My apologies, since I muted myself. I didn't mean to do that. But yes, number 10 is Skinamarink. Um, this was directed by Kyle Edward Ball, who actually directed it in his own childhood house. So he actually didn't spend a lot of money. I think he spent like $10,000 alone just for this film, just to hire the actors and the camera, obviously, and stuff like that. But that
$10,000. That's walking around money.
I know, right? But for what they fucking did, oh my god. I don't get affected this too much with horror films honestly lately. They don't phase me as much as I thought they would anymore. But this fucking movie really shook me to my core. Like I'm afraid of like dark hallways and like looking out the dark whenever I wake up at night, you know?
That's
So
like all that that's like
that's like
all that
a
movie
lot of
is.
people. Yeah, that's what the movie is, and that's the fucking thing. Is like it's so scary when it's like that. I know some people will find it boring, and that's fine. Like if you find it boring, like it's a controversial movie actually on Letterboxd and Twitter. Like some people really love it or really hate it. Um, I'm in the camp of really loving it just because it really fucking shook me, man. Like the ending, especially of this film, the ending shot is one of the scariest shots I've ever seen in horror history, in my opinion. Like, I was so. I wanted to get underneath a blanket, honestly, and I don't usually do that with horror films, but I was so scared, bro, at the ending shot alone. Like, that's how much Skinamarink affected me, and I cannot praise this film enough because it is an indie film made with a small ass budget directed by a debut director who is so talented already just from doing this type of film, and I can't wait to see what he does next because apparently he does have another horror film lined up very soon. I don't know what it is, but I'm really looking forward to see what Kyle Edward Ball does next. Honestly, it's on Shutter. If anyone
Hmm.
has Shutter, so I highly recommend Skinamarink. It might not be for you, but I really loved it personally.
All right. Fair enough.
So, okay, that was my number 10. So it's your number 10 now?
Which is also a horror film.
Oh, okay. Which one is it?
It's Cobweb.
Cobweb. I saw this one too, and I actually thought it was surprisingly well done too.
Yeah. It's this quaint little small scope, uh, uh, almost kind of like a Goosebumps story. It
Yeah,
feels like
it's like a haunted house type of story in a way.
yeah,
But
a lot of it's told from the kid's perspective. The adults don't want to listen, but then they find out there's a reason why.
yeah.
um, I also want to call it cute. Due to the subject matter, I don't know if I would necessarily go that far, but in terms of like its size and the scope of the movie, it is very cute. Um, I
Um
think it comes closer to a actual Goosebumps movie than any of the actual Goosebump movies.
okay. The ones with
Just
Jack Black, right?
yeah, something about its spirit and the style of it. Because it is still spooky, but it's not out and out horrifying or traumatizing. And it is still told from a child's perspective. And you know, I almost just blurted out a spoiler. I can't say too much about it.
Right, right.
Um, but like if you're listening to this and you want a slightly different but memorable horror flick, it does a lot of things, small little details that I really appreciate that often get overlooked in other other Western horror films. Um, There's nice setup, nice payoff. Uh, when the blood does start flying, oof. It's very
It starts flying, man.
it's kind of Raimi-esque. Like once
Yo,
the whole thing is kind of clicking up a roller coaster very slowly, and then once the third act kicks in, they take the brakes off. Like you're on going for the ride at that point.
you know what kind of reminds me of now that you mentioned that? Have you not really in tone, but like, do you remember that movie from Toho House?
Mm, mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not really in tone, but like the story, like the haunted house type of thing,
yeah, I
Goosebumps,
can see it.
It's
Yeah,
very, it has kind of like a kooky tone in a way. From what
yeah.
I remember, this film had what that guy from The Boys, Homelander, Anthony Starr, I think is his
Anthony
name.
Stars. Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
and Lizzie Kaplan. They're really talented actors, by the way, both of
yeah,
them.
yeah. They're both great.
Um, so that's your number 10, Cobweb.
Yeah, I have to kind of cut myself off there just because like everything else about the movie is a spoiler.
Gotcha. What is? Oh shoot, that is not the right list. Whoops. What is next? Okay, so is it my number 9 next then?
It's you're up,
All
Slugger.
right, I'm up next. Number 9 is something you mentioned earlier, actually, in your honorable mentions. John Wick Chapter 4.
Nice. All
It's in
right,
my
all right.
number 9. It is on my list. I do think, you like you said, it is a bit long. Like it maybe like 15, 20 minutes could have been cut out personally. But regardless, I still fucking adore the shit out of this movie as an action fan. Like the action
Yeah,
set pieces alone in this film are just incredible. Like they're all memorable to me. The Dragon's Breath sequence, the Paris roundabout, the sword fight between Hinoki Sanada and Donnie Yen. Like there's so much crazy shit in this film that they pulled off, man. Like
yeah.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I
And
don't know how we went 4 movies before someone finally sat up and went, "Hey, wouldn't Donnie Yen be cool in John Wick?"
I'm surprised they
How
haven't thought of that earlier.
how in the hell did it take that long? Because he fits so perfectly.
His Kane is one of the best characters in the John Wick universe, in my honest opinion.
Hmm.
And I also want to give a quick shout out to Scott Adkins as Killa, the fat German gangster. He was
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah,
fun. I know
yeah.
people have something against fat suits lately, but like
Yes.
I thought his fucking kicks, man. Holy shit.
Yeah, and here's what I want to say about that topic because I've had some thoughts about that. Because sometimes I think that I understand where we're coming from, where why would you put someone in a fat suit when you could just hire an
I
actor to
totally
do
get
that
that
role?
too.
Yeah, but in the case of John Wick, it's like, well, but how many people could perform all
Yeah,
of those stunts?
who could actually kick like that in that type of suit or anything like
Now,
that? Like,
with that kind of body type, now is it possible?
oh
Yes,
yes,
because
absolutely.
we have what's his name? Jackie Chan's friend.
Oh, Sammo Hung is that?
Sammo Hung. Yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
But is Sammo Hung available all the
No,
time at the
no.
age of 85? And like there's not many Sammo Hungs around, and also you have to think about like, well, but like you're still putting a lot of physical strain. Like you need someone who's a professional who already can do all that stuff. Scott Adkins, like I guarantee you could do that stuff blindfolded.
Dude, I've seen him before in films like Universal Soldier and The Expendables. His fucking
Hmm.
kicks are great, man. He's very
Yeah,
underrated as an action star, honestly. Like
I,
that
I
deserves more credit.
I get like when the Matilda musical came out and people were like, "Why would you put somebody in a fat suit for the Trunchbull? Because all you just need somebody to sing and to act." I'm like, okay, I have my own thoughts of that as well. But in this case, where the role is purely physical, like let's be honest, that character has no real character. Like not really. He's
But
there to play a stereotype
but Scott
and to
Atkins really makes it his own though in that type
yeah,
of role.
I agree, but I mean, like, you're not casting somebody for the acting for that role. You want somebody that can perform the stunts first and who can act second. And when it's that physical, like, you want somebody, again, a trained, seasoned professional who is going to be somebody who is like Scott Adkins, who's already been around, and like I get wanting to just put him in a fat suit, and it looks great. He does it really well.
I think they pulled it off pretty well. I think they pulled off this whole movie pretty well, honestly. This for a fourth movie in the franchise like this, it's also
Uh-huh.
really impressive to see what they can still pull off in terms of action and set pieces, honestly. And it, I know it's probably not going to be nominated, but the cinematography of this film was also so gorgeous. It was really gorgeous to look at, honestly.
Mhm.
Like, so yeah, as an action fan myself, John Wick 4 totally delivered on every front, in my opinion, and I very happy to have it on this list, honestly.
I think maybe another reason why it's on my runner-up list is because I enjoyed the first two action sequences so incredibly much that it became difficult for the other sequences to measure up to that. They're
I
all
thought
great,
I thought
but I
every
thought
sequence was great.
no, I did too, but the first two like had my jaw on the floor.
You're talking about like the Japan sequences and stuff like that? Oh
Yeah.
my god, dude. Ah! Man, that's
The
so cool.
the Tokyo Continental sequence just was like one gut punch after the other. It
I think it was
was
Arasaka.
Osaka. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Osaka
Osaka.
Continental.
No, sorry. Why did I say Arasaka? That's fucking cyberpunk. Osaka. I meant Osaka.
We knew what you meant.
Yeah. Man, okay. So
Real fans know that there's
real
not.
fans know what it is. All right. So it's your number 9 now?
Yeah, my number 9 is another horror film. Just knocking them out left
Let's
and
go
right
do let's
here.
do it, man.
I have Saw X as my number 9,
Oh, okay. So before
which I
we
really didn't expect
Yeah,
to
I know,
say.
right? So, yeah, I actually have this in my top 20 of the year. I
Ah,
because I didn't
okay.
mention it because it was part, top 20, so it was like I wasn't gonna mention the other five.
Sure.
But I will say this was a huge surprise for me in terms of like the Saw films, honestly.
Yeah,
Like
why would you expect after 8 movies of
nine
trash?
nine movies, well eight, yeah, eight, well seven. I like the second one honestly a lot, personally.
Is it as good as the first one?
No, but it's still
There you go.
entertaining.
Yeah, it's fine.
But this one,
This one, like, again, like, why would you expect anything other than trash when you sit down to watch the 10th movie in a franchise, especially when the last two, Jigsaw and Spiral, are some of, like, the lamest in the
we
series.
had Spiral last year on our worst of list. It was so
Yeah.
bad.
Yep. I'm still pissed off that they
So
think,
it's saying something that you have saw a Saw movie in your top 10 of the year.
I can admit it. They nailed it. Uh, because they actually made it about the most interesting character in the franchise. They actually gave him a fucking movie to focus on. The other movies, Jigsaw is always either in the background or he's mentioned after the fact because they fucking killed him in the third
Yeah, or
movie.
he's like either in a videotape or he's just mentioned.
And they have to write a whole plot line around to explain how he made that tape or how he's still present, and that always like caps each movie that they make.
Just
not
it
that
just makes it convoluted at that point.
not that you give a shit about any of the characters in the other movies anyways, but having to give yourself another chore to work on while also trying to establish your crappier characters just makes for the other movies being kind of like they're doomed before they can begin. With this one actually focusing on Tobin Bell, who is acting his ass off.
Oh, Tobin Bell's incredible in this film,
He's
actually.
he's actually really good. And he's actually a really good singer, as it turns out. Just a side note, he has a YouTube channel where he writes his own songs
I
and
didn't
like
know
covers
this.
other. Yeah, he's got a pretty good voice. I'm not a huge music critic, but like I don't mind listening to him. But like he strikes me as a guy that just like does what he knows what he likes and he does what he likes, and you can tell with this movie that he loves the character and he loves what they did with the arc they give him in this, because you actually give a shit.
Yeah, I was just surprised of how well written the characters were in this one because they were like, okay, there was actually really compelling arcs in this Saw film.
Yeah, like there's a couple that kind of fall by the wayside, but only because the other ones are so much stronger, and the nature of a serial killer movie like this, like sooner or later characters are going to start dropping, which means that those characters have less screen time. So it's fair to expect that you're not going to connect with them as much because they're not around for as long. But that doesn't hurt the movie as a whole. I don't I don't think so.
Saw X is definitely the best one since the first one, in my opinion.
And it's actually edited by an adult and not by a blender.
So
How about that?
dude, it does feel like those movies. Some of those movies are edited by a fucking robot that just doesn't know what they're doing. It's like, what the
Oh,
fuck is happening?
they should preface the other movies with a seizure warning because those other movies are cut together. So especially like when the action starts to ramp up and it's like, oh, you better do your test or you're not gonna make it. Like those sequences are hard to watch now, and maybe it's just because I'm older and bright flashes like that like make me hurt my eyes because I'm an old man now. But I also feel like genuinely they're incomprehensible in hindsight. It's hard to tell what you're looking at a lot of the time.
True, very true. But
With this, by not cutting it up so much, you can actually see like the actors performing, and that makes a big difference. It makes it more personal.
and we are getting another Saw film this year in October by the same people who did this one, so
Oh,
it's
that's exciting.
that is very exciting. Let's hope it's the same quality of this one.
Yeah, I might actually watch that and be like excited,
I am
not
actually
curious.
excited for a Saw film again. I can't believe it.
Mm.
It's shocking that a 10th film in a franchise like this has actually genuine good storytelling and character.
You know what they say? 10th time's the charm.
All right.
That was a really snobby thing to say, but it was fun to say.
So, is it my number?
Yeah, you're up.
Oh shit. Okay. My number 8 is TMNT Mutant Mayhem.
Okay, all right.
One of the best animated films I've seen this year for sure.
Mhm.
I mean, you had it on your number one last time we were here, so I mean, I don't know how much has changed, but this film is just so well done in its development of the turtles, in my opinion. Like each one has a concise different personality, but they're not annoying to the point where they're actually genuine people. They feel like, they feel like
Mhm.
genuine teenagers. That's what the name is, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm just surprised it's taken them this long to actually make them feel like teenagers for once, because honestly, as much as I love the other adaptations, they don't really feel like teenagers to me, honestly, in the other ones.
No, the closest they come to is they get like the angsty teenager phase, which is believable, but
But
like,
even then, they act like mostly young adults in a way, honestly. Like, they already act like
yeah,
they're, like, mature and shit. So it's
yeah.
like, when I actually see a film that has genuine teenagers performing as the turtles and having ad-libbed dialogue that is so funny, honestly, it really does make the film a lot stronger, in my opinion. And it also helps that the rest of the supporting cast is fantastic. Like, Ice Cube as Superfly, like, holy shit, he was actually really good in this film. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I've had a lot of opportunity to think about like actors doing voiceover roles this year, but Ice Cube as Superfly, I was like, shit, it sounds like he's been doing this his entire life. Holy fuck.
And also Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko is so great too. Ugh, man. Um, yeah, the animation of course is gorgeous in this film. And unlike Spider-Verse this year, it actually feels like a complete film from the start to finish, while also teasing for another film to come since it is getting a sequel confirmed. So
Gee,
thank
it's
goodness.
it's almost as if you aren't so cocky as to expect that you're gonna get a sequel that you can just make a concise contained movie, and
Exactly.
it's successful. Oh,
Ooh. So yeah, like I said before, TMNT Mutant Mayhem is probably the best Turtles film I've seen so far for sure. Much
I
better than
was,
the other ones that I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah, yeah. I agree.
So yeah, that's my number 8. What were you gonna say about it? Sorry.
No, I was just kind of nodding my head and agreeing. You almost like the thing I was gonna say was just that it's the best one and that they've made so far.
For sure. So it's your number 8 now?
Yes, my number eight's The Holdovers.
Crap, I didn't see this one yet, but I have it on my Peacock account. I need to see it.
It's an anomaly because as I was saying, kind of this holiday season is that Christmas season is a lot about like nostalgia and doing the same things you always do each year and watching the same things you watch every year. And it's very comforting because, it's been a year since you've done it. But at the same time, it's very difficult to make a new Christmas movie and have it join up to the ranks of your classics, you know? You have
Right.
there's a natural kind of resistance to new things. People don't like change,
Right.
not by nature, and that's okay because I don't either. Um, so it's very hard to make a new Christmas, and there's real tough contenders to go up to with Christmas movies. There are some that you're just never gonna beat, and there are some that people are gonna hold a bar to. So I think it's impressive that The Holdovers comes out as a new Christmas movie and is like fucking stellar. I do think it's like It's a Wonderful Life in the sense that if you stop the movie at any point and you just don't finish it, it's kind of miserable. I do think that it is uplifting if you finish the movie. um, the movie itself actually commits to the 70s style. It's not just the trailer that has the 70s style to it. The whole thing, it kind of feels like they found it in a time capsule
It's like a
and
lost
just
film almost.
yeah, and they just kind of re-released it in theaters because like the pannings, the zooms, a lot of the camera techniques, not all of them, but a lot of the camera techniques are very old school. Um, there's a lot of long, drawn out shots and pauses, just to kind of let the actors breathe. Um,
I heard Giamatti was fantastic in this.
yeah, it's kind of a perfect role for him because it's just like an old man that knows a lot, but he's also grumpy, so it gives Paul Giamatti an excuse to scream. And we all love it
We
with
all
Paul
love
Giamatti.
Giamatti screaming, of course.
But yeah, he's got a funny scream.
But also, I didn't see it obviously, but I saw Divine Joy Randolph was in it, who was one of my favorite actresses in Dolomite Is My Name, and I'm glad
Yep.
she's getting more roles because I heard she's incredible in this too.
Oh yeah. I there was a lot of sniffling in my audience whenever she kind of took center stage. And the kid in the movie is
Dominic Sessa.
never done a movie before. Could have fooled me. He looks like a seasoned pro. He's up there with Paul Giamatti, and he's doing an
I heard he's
absolute nutshell
genuinely
job.
incredible and that he probably should be a
Mhm.
dark horse for supporting actor
I
nomination.
yeah, I actually 100% back that. I will say this, it's a little lower on my list because 15 minutes into the movie, I was like, "Oh, I've seen this movie." And I went, "Oh, I know where this is going."
You don't
And
know where it's going.
the rest of the movie, I basically had it laid out in my mind where the movie was going. And with the exception of a couple of character beats, um I was still right. Plot wise, you know where this movie is going. But like I said with Saltburn, I can excuse a predictable movie if there are other elements around it that are strong. And in the Holdovers case, the acting, the style, um, the pacing, and the acting again really carries it.
I can't wait to see it myself because I've been meaning to see it on my Peacock because they just uploaded it on Peacock watch list, so I need to watch it myself at some point
Yeah, yeah. You have to tell me what you think about it.
for sure, man.
All right,
So
back
it's
to you,
number
my man.
7 now. Number
Yep.
7.
Hmm.
Alrighty, number 7 for me is Past Lives from A24.
Uh-huh.
Have
Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Past Lives, man. Oh, this movie broke my heart, man. Oh man, so this honestly really touched me in a very personal matter because I've been in some like friendships, relationships that have been like stuck with me, and there have been moments where I felt like I could have done something to pursue that more or, just be the better person that I was. So when this film came out, I honestly started tearing up a lot ever since I thought about it because it was just a really touching and moving film. Like the performances by all three actors are incredible. I think Tae Yu is really great in the lead role, and honestly, like I know he's not probably going to, but it would be really nice if he did get a Best Actor nomination because he really sells it with just his face alone. Like the
Mhm.
emotions with his face alone are incredible. Same with what Greta Lee. Like she's also amazing in the film too. Um and like I just hope like this film gets nominations, especially for Celine Song, is the who's a debut, by the way. This is her debut film, and it's pretty amazing how this is her debut film, honestly, because it feels like it's made by a professional, honestly. Like it sounds like some seasoned like filmmaker would have made this, honestly. But no, it's her first film, and I'm like, holy shit, this is impressive, man. So while it may not have a lot in terms of like action or like anything heavy,
It doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter. It's still a really emotional and touching film that I highly
Mhm.
recommend to people. Um, really because it's just so good. It's genuinely amazing.
All right.
Did you see
All right.
Past Lives?
I did, and we're gonna talk about
Oh,
my
okay,
thoughts
okay,
on it
okay,
later.
okay. So we little tease there.
Mhm.
All right, what's your number
Taste of
seven
things,
then?
a little taste of things to come. My number seven's Evil Dead Rise.
Hey, we
Uh,
talked about this on the last podcast.
uh-huh. And I still feel that it's like, what a fucking gnarly movie.
What a great Evil Dead movie, right? Like just like genuinely good Evil Dead film, honestly.
Yeah, we still haven't gotten a bad one, I don't think.
I don't think so. And even the TV show was fantastic too.
Yeah, I still need to watch that.
Dude, the TV show's great. But
I
anyways,
own I own the first two
oh,
seasons. I don't
you
know
own
what.
them, so you have
I have no excuse.
But anyways,
Um,
Rise.
Rise, okay. Kind of like what I was saying with the holdovers, where like, yeah, it's kind of a predictable movie. It took me a little longer to eventually remember what I was watching was an Evil Dead movie, and it has to do certain things because it's an Evil Dead movie. And it started doing those things, and I was like, all right, I think I know where this movie's going. And then by the end, I was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I figured. But the difference between that and the holdovers is, first of all, ew. Secondly, secondly, um, the balls that this movie has is kind of awe-inspiring. Now, I don't want to spoil too much, but like I have never been so happy to see a kid get it in a movie. Not because they were terrible or I didn't like the
But you
character.
just like to see like this the horror aspect of it, like seeing a
Yes.
kid die.
Yeah,
Dude,
and
that
like
there was some
it's
fucked
not
up
that
shit.
it's not that you can't do it, but they show you. Like you see it
They
all
don't hold
happen. I'm like,
back.
oh boy, yeah, exactly. The stakes get raised
You
so
know,
high in this
this
movie.
is one of the few Evil Dead movies where I actually genuinely felt bad for the characters because it's
That
like
too, yeah. I
you're just
actually
like,
was feeling
damn,
sad,
you,
especially like the girl on the cover, who like no
that's the
spoiler.
mom.
Yes, yeah, she's the mom, and I'm like, God dang it, she didn't deserve any of this.
No, not at all. And it's like it actually genuinely makes you feel bad for everybody involved here.
Uh huh.
So,
Which
t-
is something I feel I wouldn't say it was missing from the other movies because there's not really a
but
place for it in the other movies.
the only character you really cared for was Ash. Really, that
Yeah.
was it.
Yeah. Yeah, they just were different kind of movies. This one taking a different approach, being a little more personable. Um, Yeah, I had a shit ton of fun with that
Oh, I
movie.
did too, but this is I didn't put it on my list unfortunately because again I felt like Skinamarink was the better horror film this year, but I still
Yeah,
loved Evil Dead Rise as well. It was so much fun though.
yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about it, or is that it?
No, I want to hear your number six.
Oh shit, number six. Okay. All
Yeah.
right, my number six is Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All
So
right.
I saw this film in IMAX when it came out. It's a nearly 4 hour long movie, so I was sit to that ass on my seat for a long time. But
I was really tempted to watch the first 2 hours of that movie and then leave, and then come back a different day and watch the last 2 hours of the movie.
I mean, honestly, like his last film was The Irishman that came out on Netflix, and honestly, I didn't really care for that one as much, even though I know it's well directed and stuff. I just felt like it was too long on the tooth for most of the time, and I didn't think like it had the best performances from that cast, even though I love that cast, like Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. I love them three, but I didn't think The Irishman was their strongest work in my opinion. Killers of the Flower Moon, however, is definitely Scorsese firing on all cylinders, though. Like, holy shit. Like, this is some powerful shit that I've seen all year. Like, I mean, I have some native friends as well, and they told me stories of, like, how they were treated in the past and how their communities were treated by the American people, obviously. So, it's just really harrowing to hear what natives have been through, and this film definitely reinforces that message for sure. Like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, honestly, considering that it was all true as well. Like, Leo is so good in this movie. Like he plays such a big idiot, but he does it so well. Like he's definitely getting another Oscar nom, that's for sure. And Robert De Niro was also amazing as his uncle in the film. He was very chilling in a lot of the scenes that I saw him in. But the standout to me, of course, was Lily Gladstone as Molly, and she was absolutely incredible throughout the film. So, like, I I I do think she is gonna get nominated for Best Actress for sure. I to win, I'm not sure. She's up against top competition this year, honestly, for Best Actress, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon is some powerful shit that I highly recommend. Even if it is a bit long, it didn't feel like it was like overstaying its welcome though, at least to me. So that's just how I felt. I thought it was fantastic stuff all the way through. Um,
All right. All right.
did you see Killers of the Flower Moon yet though?
No, the I wasn't kidding. I know what I said before sounded like a joke, but
But
no,
you
I
weren't
seriously
kidding.
no, I actually considered like I mean I would watch it if I watch it in shifts,
I
but
would
I'm not going to
recommend
sit
it
there and
though.
watch it for one 4 hour mainly
That's what
because
I did.
it's because I work at a theater and I
Yeah,
don't want to spend more time there than I already do. So part of me
I
was
see
like,
what you
I
mean though.
mean, that literally would take like that would make because I work an 8 hour shift and then sit and watch a 4 hour movie. That would literally mean I was there for 12 hours straight, and the thought of that just kind of makes me squirm.
It does make you squirm a bit, doesn't it?
So that was just kind of like, well, I'll watch the first 2 hours. It's fine, and then come back and watch the second two.
All right, so that's my number six. So is it your number six now?
It is my number six.
Hit me, man.
I all right. I have Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves.
Hell yeah, man. Let's go. My number 11 this year.
So my last two movies were about like, yeah, it's kind of what I expected, but they had other qualities that made me appreciate it so much more, and it still surprised me. This whole thing surprised the hell out of me because this was the underdog movie of the year for me, where I
Mm-hmm.
expected just the stupidest shit from the marketing materials and based on the last movie that they made back in the 90s, which I love, but it's bad. Um, it's bad, but that's why I love it. This one was had the bar so low that when I sat down and watched it, I it didn't even take like 20 minutes and I was smiling ear to ear. Something about like there's something to be said about a movie containing an emotion, like a primary emotion, and this one is just it's like a big dumb golden retriever
Yes.
just running up to you smiling, tongue flying out of his mouth, just so happy to see you, just wanting to have so much fun. And I also, it should be said that a movie that is fun doesn't necessarily have to be bad or
Exactly. Like,
stupid.
why does everybody have this notion of like fun equals bad? Like, what does that mean? Like, are you kidding me? What since when
No,
has
it
fun been bad?
it's actually really smart. It's actually really well crafted. The whole sequence with the like, okay, let's find a dead guy to ask. We can only ask him a couple of questions though.
That shit made me laugh
That
so hard.
that was so clever. It was like a little like Army of Darkness scene right in the middle of my Dungeons and Dragons movie. Like it felt right at home with Ash having to like do a task
But it still
involving
felt in
dead
tone
people.
with the film though. Like it still felt like it
Uh-huh.
was right in tone though.
Yeah. Yeah. Hugh Grant is actually a pretty decent villain,
I know,
believe it
right?
or
I
not.
was actually
Yeah.
laughing at a lot of the lines he pulled off.
It's because he still has an element of smarmy Britishness to his villain, and that comes through. It's kind of like a stitching through all the other interwoven characters that he or the little moments he has. Um, even like the when it would do stuff that I've seen before, because of the characters that are doing it, I cared way more. And how about this? Real prosthetic animal like
Thank you.
beasts running around instead of like, I mean, they occasionally use CGI, and I
But
get it.
only when it's needed though.
Yeah, like I don't know how you would do like the gelatinous blob and have it be a 100% real prosthetic thing, or like the tiger cat things that are running around. I'm like, I get it. In some places, it's appropriate, but like a lesser movie would have absolutely like what's his name? The guy that they're going to appeal to tell their story and kind of get the audience caught up in what's happening. A lesser movie would have copped out and just had that been a CGI creation. But no, it was a real thing. It was a prosthetic sitting on a guy's head
Wait, I think I know who
on
you're
set.
talking about. Are you talking about
Yeah.
John Favreau for
Yeah.
the? Oh, you put the Lion King and fucking Jungle Book remakes.
Yep.
Oh yeah, they have totally CGI'd all those animals, honestly. But this is by the people that did Game Night, apparently, before this, and that movie was fucking funny too, man. So
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
they know what the fuck they're doing.
So this one earns a little higher spot than it might normally because of like the surprise factor and like just the execution, the tonal balance that it manages to strike between like excitement and adventure and sadness and comedy. And the cast all pulling it off. I don't think anyone else could have nailed it as well as they did.
For sure, and it's honestly a really fun film, honestly, all the way through it. I still love it, even on rewatch as well. Apparently, Chris Pine says they are trying to move forward with the sequel too, so I'm
Yeah,
I'm
more
ready to
power
see.
to them.
I really want them to do it.
Yeah,
Was it number five now? Is it number five?
yeah.
Oh shit, number five. Okay, we're halfway there now. Let's see here. Number five is The Killer by David Fincher on that
Ooh,
was
okay.
on Netflix.
Yeah, I heard of
Um,
this.
you didn't see it yet?
No, I heard of it,
You heard of it?
but I didn't.
Okay. But this film, man, like if there's one director that I for sure will love his style all the time, it's David Fincher. Like I love David Fincher movies. Like even his weakest film, something like Panic Room, I still really like. Like cuz there's still an element of suspense and style to it. And with the killer for sure, he didn't lose that style and substance at all. Like this film is immaculate in its precision directing. Like David Fincher just knows how to do a set piece. Like he made a fight scene in this film that kind of makes a lot of the fight scenes this year go to shame, honestly. Like, it's pretty intense shit. Michael Fassbender is incredible in this film, and it might be one of my favorite performances from him yet. He's just so compelling throughout with his inner monologues and his dialogue. Like, I just felt so compelled throughout this whole movie. Like, it's based off a comic book, by the way, so this is definitely the best comic book movie I've seen all year, for sure.
Huh. How about
Um,
that?
how about that, right? David Fincher has been wanting to do this actually for over 15 years, but he just hasn't had the right studio to do it until Netflix apparently gave him the budget and was like, "Go do it."
Gotcha.
I still wish he did Mindhunter season 3, but but it's fine. It's fine. We'll live with The Killer right now, and I absolutely loved it. So I highly recommend it if you have Netflix for sure. So it's your number 5 now?
Sorry.
All good.
Yeah. My num my number five. Okay. My number five is A Haunting in Venice.
That's the Hercule Apollo movie, right?
Yes.
The with Kenneth Branagh.
Yes. Easily the best of the three that they've done.
Oh, it's so much better than fucking Death on the Nile. Holy shit.
Yeah. It has a really, because I think with choosing a horror film to as a framework to hang the mystery on gives the movie a lot of identity, and that gives it a very clear direction choice. From like the opening shot, it looks like a 70s occult movie. You know what I mean? Like an Italian cult movie.
Honestly, Kenneth
And
Branagh killed it with his directing in this.
yes, yeah. He had a lot more well, I mean not more. He, because of the style they were going for with the movie, that limits a lot of options, but because that makes it easier to make artistic choices when you don't have the world at your plate, George Lucas. When you have, and also Ken Branagh is a talented, like he's done a lot of interesting movies before direction wise. I think his character is a lot stronger in this movie than in the others. I think it's very clear what kind of person he is. If you've never seen the other movies, very easy to just jump in and just immediately get on board with this one. I think choosing to not have music overbearing a lot of the time, because the other movies are I still enjoy them. I found the soundtrack on a rewatch to be really obnoxious. With this one, a lot of the time it's just kind of like quiet, like you just hear like
It's like a
ambient
quiet
noise.
tone, like a very quiet, somber tone, which I really like.
Yeah. You hear like the drip, drip, drip of water, like in the back, in like a cave or something, and they just kind of let it play out. It really helps you to like kind of get immersed in the unease of the movie and like the not knowing what some things are, because you're like, what is making that fucking noise? But like, you're concentrated on what's happening with the movie, but there is a part of you that's wondering what's going on some level. There's a lot of shots that are off center. Like your main focus, the character is not center frame. They're kind of off to the side and at a weird, not a weird angle, but a slightly stranger angle than most. And it all kind of adds up to this feeling of unease, like there's something kind of wrong. And it particularly hits right at a certain point with the character, which I thought was really clever. I really don't have very many complaints with it as a whole. I just really appreciate how much they commit. I was a little afraid from the trailers. I was like, are they just cutting this together like it's a horror movie, or are they actually gonna double down?
No, this
No,
is a legit detective horror film.
yeah, they tripled down. They really were just kind of like, no, this is a horror movie, and there just happens to be the world's greatest detective present on the scene,
I think it's
which is
great.
great. Yeah, that's interesting enough in and of itself. I don't need a whole like we're talking about the Saw movies and like how convoluted they get. I
We
don't
don't we,
need
we
a
don't need
10-layer
convoluted
mystery.
we don't need convoluted backstories or anything like that. We just need just a good mystery, just a good
Yeah,
mystery film. And
yeah. No,
honestly, it's very strong supporting cast too in this film.
yeah. Everybody does a great job. It all makes sense. Well, except for I mean, obviously, it's no surprise that someone gets murdered in the movie.
Well, yeah.
Um, when you find out who it is and how they get killed, I was like, all right, but that wouldn't kill you.
But maybe.
Not from that height. You need at least I could believe it, not from like 15 feet up. I need like
We need maybe 20 feet more up.
you need like 50 more feet up. Because the thing that kills them is not sharp either. It's blunt. So I need more height than that. But I get that it's also the inciting incident for shit going down in the movie, so like whatever. Also Michelle Yeoh,
Oh,
I
so good.
I need you to calm down a little bit. We all understand that you can act, all right?
She is such a good actress. She's an
I
Oscar
need
winner.
you I actually think she's a little stronger in this than in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Just
Whoa.
only because this character has to have a lot of nuance to her. She has to be very reserved, and she has to. There's a lot of things. Her and Paul Rudd can just be talking, and there's nothing else outside the fact that they're talking. But because of who she is and what's been happening in the movie up to that point, it's very, very tense because there's a lot happening between them, and like she does a lot of things with her voice and her body. She really knows how to play as an actor. She knows how to play her cards very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas Everything Everywhere All at Once is great, but a lot of the emotions in that movie are at a 10. They're very high not always. But it's usually around like an 8 or a 10 in terms of like the scale of like emotional intensity.
Mm-hmm.
Haunting in Venice goes up and down between like a 2 and a 9. And having the skill to balance that in a movie that's that quiet, I think is really impressive.
So yeah, we can expect Michelle Yeoh in Avatar 3 through 5 next, since she's doing those.
Uh,
I love Avatar.
God damn it.
What's wrong
We're
with
having
that?
I don't like those movies.
Oh, well, the last one was my number one movie of the year.
Don't like those movies.
But I do, so it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. And like there's plenty to like about
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
I just am like,
Well, she's also going to be in Wicked, apparently. In Wicked,
really?
yeah.
Huh. Who's she playing in that?
I don't know, but she's in the
Okay.
main cast.
All right. Well, I'll keep my eye on that.
I will for sure as well, since it's coming out this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Haunting in Venice. Good choice, man.
Thank you. What have you got for your number
Four?
5?
Oh,
Yeah.
four. Oh, we're down to the last four now. Oh shit.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Number four is The Boy and the Heron.
Oh
Woo!
no, I'm gonna
Oh.
have to cover my ears for this entire talking of the movie.
Oh. Okay. I won't say too much. You haven't seen it then?
No.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, without saying too much, because I'm assuming you didn't watch any marketing for it either for this
I
too.
did I did a little bit.
You did a little
I
bit,
watched two different trailers. One of them uh was all in Japanese with subtitles,
and
and
you
then the
watched the
other one
English
was
one.
yeah.
Okay, so just from basing the trailers that you've seen, then, um, I think the film is visually stunning. It's one of Miyazaki's best in Spirited Away, in my opinion. It emotionally compromised me throughout it. Like, and also MVP for the English dubbed goes to Robert Pattinson. Absolutely incredible voice for the
Hmm,
Heron.
okay.
So, without saying too much, because I guess I'll do a brief summary since you haven't seen it yet.
Hmm.
I fucking loved it. It's my favorite animated film this year, and one of Studio Ghibli's best.
All right. Wow. Damn.
It's high bars.
High bars, yeah. No shit.
So, with that brief four out of the way, what's your number four?
I'm gonna be kind of brief with my number 4 too, because we've already talked about this one to fucking death. Um, number 4 is Barbie.
Gotcha. Okay, so my honorable mention as well.
Uh, I think this was the funniest movie of the year.
It was so funny.
Like bar none. I know a lot of people liked Bottoms
I
for the.
was sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say for like the funniest movie of the year, and like I think Bottoms is really really funny, but it teeters more on the like gross out humor, and also it's such a hyper real. This obviously doesn't take place in our reality movie. That there isn't much of a through line. It's just kind of it's more like a series of jokes left and right, and that's fine. But Barbie has an actual story and an emotional core to it, which makes the jokes all the more like they have a lot more gravitas to them.
I will say, like I said in my honorable mention, I think the humor didn't held up as much in my opinion, but that's just me. Comedy can be sometimes subjective, with some humor bits. Just some humor bits didn't hold up as much. Like it just got a slight chuckle out of me compared to when I really laughed in the theater.
Hmm.
But I will say, Ryan Gosling absolutely deserves a Best Supporting Actor nom. He was fantastic as Ken in this film.
Yeah, I actually think he kind of in a couple of scenes. I think Ryan Gosling actually steals the
Oh,
show.
totally, totally.
Uh, Specifically, I'm thinking of when Barbie comes to visit him in his house, which was formerly her house. And when his little montage in the real world where he's
The
talking to
Mojo
like the
Dojo
nurse.
Casa House.
Hmm. And then when he's like talking to the nurse and like talking to other guys, I think like he understood the assignment. I'd actually like to see him take on more comedic roles because like he gets it.
I thought
And
he
I think that
was. Sorry, go ahead again.
I no, I was going to segue into the direction because I think that it's a compliment to the director and to the screenwriting as well that that he stands out as much as he does.
Yeah, Greta Gerwig
Obviously,
did a great
him.
job directing and writing this film.
I heard that there was another version of the movie that was done by
Amy Schumer.
who? Yes, and I'm kind of glad that this
Oh
is the movie
God,
we got.
I'm so glad because I saw some of that bits of the story she came up with, and oh my God, did it sound so bad.
I think I'm going to stay blissfully ignorant on that one.
Yeah, I think you should honestly. Um. uh,
um, yeah,
anyway,
not a whole lot else to say.
I think
Just that like
it's a fun movie.
because they actually treated it with as a movie with like an actual story and like it keeps going places I didn't expect it to go. Like it kept me interested and like curious what was going to happen next. And like I was mentioning with my other movies, I can usually figure out where a movie is going for the most part. But like I was constantly surprised by Barbie.
Yeah, Barbie was a fucking fun ride to me, at least as well.
Yeah.
So that great. That's definitely a great choice for number four for sure, and I could definitely see it being nominated for Oscar noms this year for sure as well.
Yeah. All right, you're
Um,
up.
top three. Here we go, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! All right, I'm so excited actually for this next one because oh my god, this next one I really didn't expect to put it on my top three this year, but oh my god, was this film so fucking good, man. Oh, Godzilla minus one.
Hell yes. Talk about it.
Dude, Godzilla minus one was so amazing, man. Like, just the fact alone that it was made on a $10 million budget is so impressive to me. Like, how the fuck does this make a lot of Hollywood films look like shit, honestly? Is just like it looks gorgeous for a $10 million film. Like the fact that they actually focused on the horror aspects of Godzilla rather than just the action bits of it is what really sold me personally as well. Because originally the original Godzilla was like really a monster of destruction. It was a horrifying sight to look at when you thought about it because it was made by nuclear bomb and like it's supposed to be a symbol of mass destruction. So to see this film in the modern time like really go into those messages and actually have really deep thought-provoking characters really like really just made me feel surprised and shocked all the way through of how amazing a Godzilla film can be, honestly. I saw this really late at an IMAX screening at like 10:30 p.m. at that time because that was like the only IMAX showing they had. But I wanted to see it in IMAX because everybody was saying how amazing the film was, and I was like, I didn't really hear about it too much, other than some like talk on Twitter. So I was like, what exactly is this film gonna be like? Because I didn't know what to go in expecting. Because of course, I've seen Godzilla movies, like the American ones and like some Japanese Toho ones. But
Sorry. You said you've seen some Godzilla movies, and then you immediately said, "I've seen the American
I
ones."
know, I know. Because those were the first ones I started off with. So
That
I mean,
means that means you haven't seen. No, I'm just kidding.
I've seen the Toho ones. Calm
Yeah,
down.
yeah. I know. I'm just giving you guff. I like to be a
I've
Godzilla
seen
snob.
the original 1954 one, and I've seen a couple of like the versus ones. Like Mechagodzilla and King Ghidorah and stuff like
Mm,
that. But I haven't seen all of them, obviously. But I've
mhm.
seen the Legendary Pictures ones, of course, and they're fun. Don't get me wrong, but they're nothing to this level of like excitement and emotional impact that minus one had. Honestly, minus one, I salute you a lot.
Yeah, yeah. The legendary ones like to think that they are on the same emotional. Every time they have like an emotional beat, they believe wholeheartedly what they're selling. They believe. I know people are like, "Oh, they know how stupid they are." No, they don't. They believe 100% that you give any kind of shit about Aaron Taylor Johnson's character,
Or bland ass fucking bland ass Vera Farmiga in the second one. And it's like, come on,
or
bruh.
even Millie Bobby Brown's character in Godzilla versus Kong. I was like, that character has nothing to
And I
do.
love these actors that they got in the legendary films. Don't get me wrong, but they're kind of just cardboard cutouts if you think about
Especially
it.
now, like it's I don't want to be a super big snob, but I've been saying for a long time that the characters in the legendary Godzilla movies, with the exception of Bryan Cranston's character, are all and Ken Watanabe,
Yeah.
are the only two that actually feel like people, and everyone else is a cardboard cutout. And everyone says, "Oh, well, that's how monster movies are supposed to be."
No.
No, they're not. Not look at minus one, man.
No.
I, s-
Look.
I
Yeah.
feel so vindicated by minus one. I'm like,
I
nope,
know. I
you
do.
can do it right. You
And
just have to
that's the
care.
thing. Like a lot of these monster movies just need to have a good story to it too, in order for us to care.
Yeah,
Honestly.
they
And
just need to. They have to actually try. But no, the legendary ones don't do it because they're too busy rendering
the
the scene of
spectacle.
Godzilla and Kong fighting on a
They want
boat,
the spectacle.
which doesn't even make sense because that boat should be sinking.
And the thing is, though, is that minus one has both the emotional impact and the spectacle, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that boat scene alone is one of the most intense scenes I've seen in cinema, honestly, for Godzilla. Like,
It
Jesus.
it kind of reminds me. And this is a weird journey I'm going to take you on, but just bear with me for a second. I think this makes sense. In X-Men 3,
X-Men 3, what a mention already, alright.
Magneto picks up the Golden Gate Bridge with his powers and carries it somewhere else to do a thing. Now, script wise, like in the story, that's supposed to be a very impressive feat, but I don't give a shit about it because it has no emotional weight in the movie. It has no real meaning. Then you jump forward to X-Men First Class. Magneto is pulling a submarine out of the water. Now that's technically not as impressive as picking up a bridge, but it means so much more and it carries so much more weight to it and I care way more because they actually took the time to make me care about the characters in the movie, specifically Magneto. So even though Godzilla minus one, like that boat scene, might be smaller in scale compared to like
Godzilla versus
Godzilla and
Kong.
Kong fighting each other, but I don't give a shit about them fighting each other. Not really, because I don't care about what's going on in the movie. It's cool to see on a like caveman lizard brain level, but like I actually am caring about them shooting Godzilla on a boat in minus one.
Yeah, so To summarize, pretty much, it's pretty incredible what -1 pulled off, honestly.
Mm.
And I honestly hope that this director gets more Godzilla films, if he does want to do more, because I would be so down to see more from him.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
All right, so it's your number three now.
My number three, it will be pretty brief because we already talked about it a lot.
Okay.
You actually ended up saying a lot about it already that I feel.
Oh,
Um, it's Teenage Mutant Ninja
hell
Turtles, Mutant
yeah.
Mayhem. The best animated movie of the year, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Grant, keep in mind, I still didn't see The Boy and the Heron, so take that with an asterisk. But of the movies I saw, it is the best animated movie I saw. That visual fidelity to I agree with everything you said. I'm just gonna add on to that that having a movie with that visual style moving at that speed and not coming off like visual diarrhea is a miracle. That visual style is very busy and there's a lot of stuff, even just like a still frame when there's not a lot going on. It's already a very busy visually. Like there's a lot to look at. But then when the action gets going and there's a lot going on at once, I never felt confused about what was going on because they knew where to have the focus, they
Yep.
knew how to draw your eye, and the editor understood how to connect the tissue together. So technically, like huge props to like the behind the scenes folks that made that movie digestible because in a worse there's a darker universe, a darker world where that movie came out and it got ones and twos and threes across the board because from the world because you couldn't understand what the you were looking at. But since they actually knew what they were doing, um I also wanted to praise the kids that were the voices for the turtles because who would have thought that just getting kids who are voice actors to play kids in a movie would have them sounding good? Who would have thought?
Who would have
You know,
thought, right?
who would have thought? But that like again in a darker universe, they're absolute in a worse version of this movie. The turtles are being played by like half of the Stranger Things cast, and like I
It
can't
probably
even think of
wouldn't work
anything.
as well, honestly, if you think about
No,
that.
no, it would come off a little like it come off like actors, not like voice actors. They actually sound like their characters. You just see Leonardo, you just see Donatello. You don't see the voice behind the face. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And, and again, even like Ice Cube, I saw the character. I didn't see Ice Cube. You know what I mean?
It's really
Um,
impressive stuff, honestly.
yeah, and the jokes all hit. Every single joke worked so well. Um, yeah, I loved it. I would recommend it to anyone that just likes animated movies, not even just like Ninja Turtle fans.
Exactly. I've been promoting the hell out of this film ever since then, because, I mean, one of our friends who was a Turbo community worked on this film, so yeah, I
That's
mean,
right. Yeah.
Disney Video Game Chick worked on it. Good
Yeah.
job, Disney.
Yee.
Um, but yeah, TMNT, what a amazing film, honestly, for this franchise, honestly.
Yeah.
So number two, alrighty, the silver medal to
Uh-huh.
my to before the gold. All right. I won't talk about this one too much because we did talk about it before as well. On this episode and the last episode. But my number two is Oppenheimer from Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah. So without a doubt, the best biopic I've seen in a long time. Fucking Killian Murphy is incredible in this film and deserves the Oscar for Best Actor, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
sells every scene he's in, and every emotion you can feel from his eyes and like his like just from his emotions alone. Like, it's incredible with what he pulled off, and like the whole cast is so impressive to me. Like, you got fucking Josh Hartnett, you got Robert Downey Jr., Emily Blunt, Florence Pugh, fucking Tony Goldwyn, Jason Clarke. there's a shit ton of Rami Malek. There's a shit ton of people in this movie, and they all do so well.
There's a
Like
couple of like bigger named actors that are seriously only in the movie for like 3 minutes,
just 1 minute or 3 minutes,
and they're
yeah.
and they're fucking gone.
They're so good though in those minutes they pull off though.
Dane
Like
DeHaan's in the movie.
yeah.
What are you doing in here? And then he's gone,
Like
just out of the
okay,
movie.
not to I guess not well, I guess it's a slight spoiler, but you've seen it already since you've seen it.
Yeah, and
Fucking
like it's based on a real,
it's based on
like
real so I guess it's not really spoilers per
it's not a
se.
huge spoiler.
So yeah, but when Casey Affleck appeared, I was like, "What the
Yeah,
fuck?" I was like, "Oh shit, it's him!"
I
And
I I, I have a
honestly, he was really good in that role.
he is, yeah. I always have a little side. I have a joke with myself because his real first name is Caleb.
Oh
So
yeah,
whenever he shows up in a movie, I always go, "Oh shit, it's me."
it's me. Honestly, though, he was terrifying in that minute he was in the film.
Uh-huh.
I was
Yep.
like, "Damn!" I guess it reminds me how good of an actor Casey Affleck is. Really,
I missed him. Need him in more stuff.
man, he was so good in that role, though. But yeah, that whole film, in terms of like a technical standpoint too, is so immaculate to me. It's
Mm,
beautiful. And
yeah.
like the score by Ludwig Göransson is my favorite score. It's tied with another film I'm going to talk about with my number one, but the score
Mm.
in this film by Ludwig Göransson is so epic
The sound
sounding.
design's good too.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so without a doubt, Oppenheimer, one of the best films I've seen this year for sure.
All right, all right.
All
I
right,
hear
you're
you.
number two now.
My number two might surprise some people.
Silver medal for you.
Uh-huh. Because some people I know are already like, I know what Caleb's number one is. I know Caleb. I know what he's gonna put as his number one. I defy you because my number two is Godzilla minus one.
Oh hell yeah! Let's go!
Yeah, yeah.
Godzilla
I've
minus
never.
one, baby.
It's been a long time since I've actually been proud to be a Godzilla fan. Because whenever the legendary ones come out, I'm always like, I mean, they're fun, but they're dumb as
They're
hell.
kind of dumb, yeah.
If they are a person, if movies were personified, the legendary Godzilla movies are a fun person that you invite out when you're having big public gathering. Like, yeah, they're fun to have around, but you don't have like real conversations with them. You might say like, "Hey, how's work going?" And then other than that, and like joking around, that's kind of it because they don't have anything to really offer you. Kind of
Right.
what you see is what you get.
What you get.
Yeah, they definitely are like, "Hey, Godzilla." It's very appropriate that they are made by like the U.S. because it's very Western idealism to look at Godzilla and be like, "Oh, it's a big dumb monster. Big dumb monster go boom. Make money. Big dumb." That's all the legendary Godzilla movie is. The first movie kind of sort of has a little bit of the spirit of the original Godzilla in there,
But not
sort of.
nearly as much, though.
No, because he's not hardly in the movie.
Yeah. He's like in it for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. And because everyone bitched and moaned about that, well, guess what? Now we have the legendary movies became what they are because people bitched and moaned. And I understand being a little disappointed, but now all we get are big dumb monster go boom. That's what the legendary Godzilla movies
Mm-hmm.
are. Godzilla minus one is a actual Godzilla movie because it's actually like there is more to Godzilla than just big dumb monster go boom. It is about the his impact on people. It is about what he represents. It's about the challenge that he represents for people to stand up to him. And that's this guy who is primarily has a background in visual effects. He's not really a director. This direct for Godzilla minus one actually like cared and put effort into, like I said with the whole Magneto analogy, you just have to try to put the effort where it needs to be, which is the human element.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for $10 million, this movie swept audiences not because of the big, long, elaborate fight sequences, not because there's a monster with an axe that powers itself with Godzilla's radioactive. No, none of that shit. You don't need that shit. You just need us to care. There
Hmm.
just has to be something for the people to grab onto. Now, I will say this: the human element is so good in this movie that Godzilla himself is kind of takes a back seat a little bit,
He's kind of a bit overshadowed a bit in the film,
a, a little bit,
just a bit.
just a teeny bit. It reminds me of Shin Godzilla a little bit. I don't know if you saw that.
I
I
saw
think
bits and pieces of Shin Godzilla.
you should watch it just for another take on a more serious Godzilla movie. But the thing with Shin Godzilla is that there's so many human characters. Like there's at least 20 main characters, and because of that, you don't really get time to connect with any one of them. It's definitely a more political movie than Minus One is. But I will say this: in Shin Godzilla, Godzilla himself is a character. In Minus One, like I said, he's more of an obstacle. It's more about what he represents. He doesn't have much of a personality in this movie, which is okay because the movie's objective is the human elements to get you to. It's about PTSD. It's about survivor's guilt. It's about how like that shit doesn't just wash away because you have a new lease on life. In a lot of movies, guilt is treated as like a temporary phase that's kind of sad and then you get over it. It's like, no, that permanently changes you. It never really leaves you. It's about how you want to incorporate it into your life. And I really appreciated that about Minus One.
You know, it's saying something when all of the Godzilla directors from American and Japanese have said that this is the best Godzilla movie they've ever seen. Like, the Shin
Yeah.
Godzilla director said it was so well made. Gareth
Hmm.
Edwards said it was jealous because he felt like this is what a Godzilla movie should be.
Yep.
Michael Dougherty said it was amazing, and Adam Ringwald said it was his favorite film this year. Literally
Yeah.
every single Godzilla director has said that this is how a Godzilla movie should be. So I mean, take that as you will, guys, but this is really an incredible film altogether. Not just as a Godzilla film, just as a film, honestly.
Yeah. 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 All right, here we go.
Okay,
Here we go.
gold medal. Before we get to the gold medal, by the way, um, I noticed that you have to leave at a certain time. Did you still want to do the worst of, or did you want to push that back to another time, perhaps?
I don't have the time limit that I thought I did, so we're
Oh,
good.
so we're good? Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just worried about that for a minute. But okay, so the gold medal, the number one pick for me. You know, I thought it was gonna be Oppenheimer for a while because it was number one for a
Hmm.
while until I saw a film literally last week, and holy
Oh,
shit, did it
okay.
really make my number one instantly.
I know where we're going with
I
this.
think you know where we're going with this. I'm not gonna just waste any time anymore. My number one film of 2023 is Poor Things by
Yeah.
Yorgos Lanthimos.
Hmm.
Oh my god, this film is so good! Oh my god. I said in my review of Letterboxd and Twitter, it's cinema. I don't
Hmm.
usually say that about too many films, but like, oh my god. Like, so with a lot of films I see in the theater, honestly, like not often, but with films that tend to be a little bit long or like tend to be like not as good, I tend to look at my phone, just to see what time it is. Like, because I don't like to stay too long at the movie theater. But like I still like to like see the movie obviously, but obviously I like to check my phone like just like a pop up just to see what time it is just so I know what time I have to leave and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I never did that once with this film. That's how invested I was in Poor Things. I didn't give a shit about what the runtime was. I didn't care because this film was so incredible in all the details, honestly. I loved everything about this film. The production design, the cinematography, the direction, the writing was fucking hilarious. Like I did not expect to laugh so much at a theater movie, but oh my god, was I dying of laughter. Emma Stone is absolutely incredible as Bella Baxter, and I really hope she gets her second Oscar for this film because personally, this is my favorite performance from her yet. She absolutely kills it in this role, and I don't know if the film would work without her because it just really hinges on her performance, and she's so fucking good in it. Like, I have no problems with her performance whatsoever. And Mark Ruffalo, oh my god, did I miss him in like a comedy role like this? Because he was absolutely hilarious in this film, man. Like, I loved him. I liked him as Hulk, don't get me wrong, but it did feel like he wasn't showing his whole acting chops in the MCU films, obviously, because he was like CGI green monster, obviously, most of the time. But here, he was so fucking funny. Like, I could not stop laughing each time he said something to Emma Stone's character. They both have amazing comedic timing together, honestly. And Willem Dafoe, like he needs a supporting actor Oscar already. God damn it, because he deserves an Oscar. This man has acted his ass off every single performance I've seen him in, and this is no exception. He is so good in this role as like the father figure, the Doctor Frankenstein type role in this. He is so good, and honestly, like I cannot recommend this film enough because this film already made me a Yorgos Lanthimos fan, who I've only seen really one film before, which was the Favorite, which he did a couple of years ago. But I didn't see The Lobster or Killing of a Sacred Deer yet, but I really want to now after seeing
Hmm.
this, because holy fuck, this film was absolutely incredible and without a doubt the best film I've seen all year. My gold
Yeah.
medal goes to Poor Things.
All right. All right. I
All
have to add it.
right.
I have to make sure that I wanted to see it before already, but
You've told
now
me.
no. Yeah, I had a feeling too when you texted me and you were like, "This is art." I was like, "Oh, so this is like number one, number two, like top three
This
territory."
is
Then,
definitely you knew it was going to be in the top three, but I
yeah.
just knew already it was going to be number one because even with something like Oppenheimer, as much as I truly love that film too, it does feel like like you said like there was some pacing stuff that you felt like, but I
Yeah.
didn't feel like that at all with Oppenheimer honestly. But I
Mm,
still felt like it's still a really long movie to go through.
yeah.
Poor Things doesn't feel long. It feels the right amount of length was given to it. Like it told
Yeah.
its story. It doesn't need to be any longer than it should. It shouldn't be any shorter than it should be. Like
Hmm.
it was, I think it was 2.5 hours, if I'm correct, which
Yeah.
is still pretty long for a film, but it didn't feel long at all,
Yeah.
honestly. It paced itself super well, and oh my god, it was so fucking funny. I couldn't stop laughing throughout this shit, man. Uh, yeah, you gotta
Cool.
see it whenever you can.
All right. We'll talk about it.
All right. What's your gold medal? What's your number one, man?
Well, to kind of leapfrog, just as a starting point, about you mentioned how you admired that it wasn't longer than it needed to be. It was just the right amount of length. I feel that about every element of my number one. Uh, it's past lives.
Oh shit! Because you teased about this earlier, so I was like, where is it at? And then I was like, oh wait a minute, I know where
Uh
it's
huh.
at because you I was
Yeah.
ready for it. But
Hmm.
okay,
This
yeah,
was
I
the.
definitely can agree to this with this one.
This was. I loved all the movies we talked about so far. This was the only one where I legitimately just forgot I was watching a movie and I was just immersed 100%. Every element of it, obviously, it's crafted. It's a thing that was made by people, but everything about it feels so natural. I don't know how they did it. It kind of mystifies me how natural everything feels. Part of that, I think, is because the movie takes place in three periods of time in these people's lives. And each time they jump forward to a different time period, I've noticed that the clothing and the technology that they use is perfect. It's copied perfectly. Like there's a point where one of the periods of time they're in, uh they're using Facebook, but it is an older version of Facebook that they are using. And I looked at it and I went, "Shit, I remember that." Like, but it didn't take me out of the movie. It just felt because the rest of the movie up to that point was so natural that like I almost didn't even question it. But it was the exact. It looked exactly like the same version that we would have used before. Same with Skype, other things like that. That all that kind of stuff really helps to pull you into the movie. But like, what does it though? Let's be honest. You've seen it. Let's be honest. The thing that really does it is the performances.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
It's the characters.
Oh
It's it's the pacing. It's all so believable and real. And I was frustrated with the characters because I felt bad for them. I felt so
yeah,
bad.
you just feel for everybody in the situation. You're just like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
heartbreaking.
There's a moment where it's a completely dead angle. The camera is like 20-25 feet away. The characters aren't saying anything. They're just walking. And I was still like holding my breath with tension. And then all they're doing, they don't talk. They just stand there and stare at each other. And I was like, there is more going on here. There's more emotions happening in just this little moment than than some entire 3 hour movies or 2 hour movies that I'll watch, like Marvel movies or whatever the fuck. The entirety of Asteroid City, I never felt anything like that. It oof, it got me. That one really got me. It was a real like it was only an hour and 45 minutes. Everything about it, I
It
wouldn't.
felt natural.
It's just so natural. It just felt like an actual slice of life. I know that term is actually like used as a genre descriptor. It actually just felt like I stopped in on these people's lives. Oh, the only there was one line though that I would have cut, but it doesn't even matter. I don't care. The whole movie, like just this quaint little. No, I wouldn't even say it was a love triangle. It's just like it's hard to describe like exactly what I'm talking about. But like it turns out like we were talking about you don't need a 10-layer mystery for things. Turns out sometimes just people's lives are interesting enough in and of themselves for a solid movie.
Yeah, if you
And
just make a compelling story, like I said, it,
yeah.
it just makes for a better film, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the execution of it too. Cuz like on paper I could see how the plot of this would be kind of like yeah, all right, that sounds like something I've seen before already. Like, there's a ton of other romantic comedy. This is not a romantic comedy. Shut up.
Not a rom-com, no.
That is not what this is. The execution is really important, and it was interesting. I didn't know that this was this director's like first thing. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
it's her first movie. She's a South Korean
Yeah.
dir Canadian director, and this is her first film.
I wonder how much of this is based on her then.
Apparently she's doing another film too. That actually is a rom-com. It apparently has the guy from The Bear, Jeremy Allen White.
All right. Well, we'll see what she does with it.
I'm
I'm
excited.
very
I'm excited
I'm
for whatever
curious.
she does next.
Yeah, this one got me feeling. This got me feeling things.
It's got me feeling a lot of things, man.
Yeah, and that for me, like a hardened fucking like Grinch that I am, that's saying something.
What an incredible film Past Lives is, and I definitely
Yeah,
think it's gonna be nominated for a lot of Oscars as well for this year.
fucking better.
It better be. If it doesn't, oh boy,
Yeah,
man. But yeah, that's our best stuff this year. Wow, we had a lot of great picks actually. Lots of
yeah,
good cinema this year, honestly. Honestly,
yeah.
we could have had a top 20 list, and I would have been just as happy to just talk about a good top 20 films. But unfortunately, We have to get through the shitty ones
and
now.
and that's where I have a top 20.
Oh, I wish we can have a top 20 for that one, but no, we're just sticking to the top 10 for
We're gonna
those
stick
ones
to the
too.
10, yeah.
Because we're not going
Can
to torture ourselves.
I am still good to do those. Can we have a 5 minute
Yes, I was
recess?
actually gonna say like 5 minute bathroom break or snack break for
Yeah,
everybody involved in this
yeah.
watching as well. We'll take a quick 5 minute break for everyone. So yeah, we'll just be right back. Stay tuned for our top 10 worst.
Welcome if you got them.
All right, we're back now with our now the I guess the shitter of the list now.
Speak for yourself. This is the fun part for me.
Oh, this is the brace yourselves.
This
We're
is the
down
fun. This is
to our
this
worst
is
films of the year.
this is my Christmas.
This is your territory now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll just get straight into it, I guess. You know, when you take a dump, you know, you just want to get the shit out of the way, you know? You just want to take a shit
Yeah,
right away. I think we
but it's
should just
just
get
so
the
good
shit out of the way.
afterward.
Yeah. So I guess you'll start off this one then, because I know you're excited. So, what's your number 10 worst film of 2023?
Well, hold on a second. I've got some dishonorable mentions.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, I won't pull up for posters for those then, because
Yeah, that's
they are
fine.
dishonorable mentions. But what are your few dishonorable mentions then that you have to mention?
Okay, so my dishonor. I'll start with Leo, which is one I just watched a few days ago. It's a Adam
That the Adam
Sandler,
Sandler
Bill
iguana film?
Burr animated. Yeah, that's the
I
one.
actually heard it was decent. It's not good.
It's got a couple of moments here and there where I'm like, hey, that was a joke. But for the most part, I was just kind of like, fuck am I looking at? This movie is so weird. First of all, okay, point in its credit. The musical numbers don't overstay their welcome. It is a musical, by the way. So if you don't mind the idea of 80-year-old Adam Sandler singing in what is essentially his Little Nicky voice crossed with his Billy Madison voice as a lizard. If that idea of that singing at you sounds okay, congratulations. You'll have an hour and a half of that or 2 hours of that movie. But like I will say the songs aren't long, but they're also not very catchy or memorable. And there's definitely a couple where I'm like this does not move anything forward in any way shape or form.
They're just
It
there to be there, essentially.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And there's definitely some moments where I was like, yeah, this was written by boomers. I'm sorry. But like there's no way some of it and also it just doesn't make the whole plot of the movie is that like the kids in this class find out that he's a talking lizard and it's like a big deal, which is fair. I mean, you don't expect a lizard to talk. But he's talking in like so many sequences in the movie anyway. I'm like, how did more people not notice that he can talk? Like he's out in like a party setting and he's talking to people. I'm like, I'm missing why it kind of undercuts the movie, the whole plot of the movie when I don't understand the rules of the world. Renfield also goes up on there just because it's so frustrating that movie could have been much better than it is. The decision to when it's just Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult, when it's the two Nicks, uh talking and acting off each other, that stuff's great. That's what I signed up for with that movie.
You had this on
But
your last list, I think, too, but
yes,
it's now in your
yeah,
dishonorable mentions.
it's overshadowed by the amount of shit I've seen this year.
Okay, I'm excited, man.
It's just that they keep cutting away from the Dracula Renfield stuff to instead focus on this stupid Aquafina cop drama crap I don't care about. And they do it for an overwhelming amount of the movie. The blood is too stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And then Cocaine Bear is also on my dishonorable mention. I don't know how you fuck this
Which you
up.
also had on your list last time, but now it's on your
Yeah.
dishonorable mentions. I did
Yep.
see this one too. I thought it was fine, but I did feel like they could have done more with the plot, honestly.
There is no plot. The plot is the name of the movie. There is no plot. It's just Cocaine Bear. Okay, that's it. I know. It's like the Human Centipede. It's like, well, I know what that is, and you don't even need to watch the fucking movie because other than the the scene where the bear is chasing the van, other than that, nothing else really like. Oh, it's funny because they said vagina. That's the
It's not
joke.
really that creative if you think about it.
It isn't, and like the shots are shitty. It's really dark for no apparent other than I think it might be turned down dark. Like they turned the contrast down to hide the fact that the bear CGI is really bad. Um, and then probably my top dishonorable mention, my unofficial number 11 spot, is a documentary called "I'm Just Here for the Riot."
Never heard of it.
Okay, so this might take a sec to explain. Do you remember hearing about the riots in Canada
Oh,
when
wait, is this
they
the Stanley
lost?
Cup thing?
Yeah, when their hockey team lost to America.
Oh,
So there were actual real life riots about that because they lost a hockey game.
so crazy, man. What the
It's
fuck?
so stupid. It's such a crazy story that they decided, like, this last year they made a documentary about it, which I'm like, oh, okay, that could be really funny, that could be really interesting also. But I would imagine because of the subject matter that they would lean into the hilarity of it, but the documentary plays it completely straight. They
So it's
treat
like
it
very
like it's a
serious.
they treat it like it's a documentary on the effects of Hurricane Katrina, but it's so tonally off. I'm like, what in the hell am I watching?
Uh, you know what?
And all,
You okay? So what sounds like this? They should have made it like a class action park like type of tone. You know, like have you seen that documentary?
yeah, yes, I
Yeah,
know
I
what you're
like
talking
that
about.
tone.
Yeah, and like it doesn't help either that they picked the worst people to interview for that thing for that documentary,
I'm scared.
because they just don't know how to, they don't answer a lot of the questions that they're asked. They go off on their own little tangents, and they're bad at, like, they dishevel a lot. They don't really, like, they give really short answers when there should be a lot to embellish on. And they'll also say stupid shit like, "Oh yeah, that day ruined my life. I haven't been able to get a job since since the riots." And I'm like, that is so stupid to hear. You would think that that's prime material to make this into like a funny
That
documentary.
sounds like something that would be on like documentary now, like that
No,
show.
they treat it 100% like it's an apocalypse that they all survived somehow. It's only number, like, it's on my dishonorable mention because it did bring me some entertainment, but not in the way that I think they meant to. So
Gotcha.
I guess if you want to watch a documentary that's so bad it's good, that's what I would recommend. Woof. Woof.
Wow. Okay.
Bad.
Wow.
Woof's
Some
bad.
dishonorable mentions there. All
Mm-hmm.
right. I only have one dishonorable mention then.
Mm,
It's just one because
mm-hmm.
the rest of the films I have on my letterbox list were pretty good honestly. But
Yeah.
the one dishonorable mention I want to mention because I didn't put it on the worst stuff because I know it has fans and I get that it's a loved property and stuff
Fuck the
like that.
fans.
I know, but Five Nights at Freddy's. I personally
Nah.
didn't care for this film, honestly.
Yeah.
I didn't honestly care for the franchise as a whole. I played the first two games and the Security Breach on PS5. They're
Yeah.
fine, but they're not scary to me, honestly. I never really got scared of these games. I never got the hype for them personally, but I
Yeah.
know, and seeing this movie, like it just kind of reinforced that. Like I just don't really care about the lore, I guess, of Five Nights at Freddy's. I know a
Yeah.
lot of people do, and they love this movie for that reason, and I totally understand and respect that. Like, I totally
Mm,
get that. But for
yeah.
me, I just thought it was pretty bland as a whole.
Mm,
So, with that being said,
yeah.
let's go to our number 10s now for you.
Okay. So starting us off, I have Winnie the Pooh, Blood and
Uh,
Honey.
we
Now I
talked
want to.
about this last time.
Not only did we talk about it last time, this was my number one
This was
worst
your.
movie
Oh,
last
wait, so
time.
that.
Now
Man,
it's
lots of
pushed to
things have
number
changed.
10.
Lots of things have changed then, huh?
Oh, it's been a rough year, man. It's been. I
It's been quite a
agree that
year.
there's been good stuff this year, but oh boy,
There's some
do
shit too.
are we are not in short supply of the shit, because Winnie the Pooh. I'm not, and because we talked about it before, I'm not gonna spend too much time embellishing on it. I still feel the same way that I did before. They don't take advantage of the fact that it's Winnie the Pooh. And it's basically just the strangers, and one guy wears a pig mask and the other one wears a bear mask, and
It's
it's
so
shot shittier.
stupid.
You can tell when you watch it, even just from watching like a clip or two, you can tell that it's really hurt by the lack of budget. Like, we say that money doesn't, necessarily if you
Money doesn't
have the
talk all the
talent,
time, but
money doesn't talk all the time, but it sure helps make a fucking
it
good
does
movie.
make a help a good movie, you know. Like I mean, okay, like Skinamarink, for example, $10,000
Yeah.
budget, but they had a fucking style to that shit that made it work. That's
Yes.
why.
It
This
had a
had
voice
no
and a vision.
style.
Yeah, no voice, no vision, no ideas, no talent. And also keep in mind that when a horror movie, probably of all the genres, horror is probably one of the ones that you could get away with a low budget the easiest. You know what I mean? That was a weird sentence, but I mean like you could
I mean, it makes sense.
with an action movie, you need a bigger budget. With an animated movie, you need a bigger budget. With a romance movie or a horror movie, you can get away with a lower
Just a
budget and
million, $10 million. Yeah, that's good
sure,
enough.
yeah, but the fact that even when you that even this movie, when you look at it, just a few shots of the movie and you go, oh no,
It's horrible.
you still couldn't even make it work even with this low a budget. That's it.
It's pretty horrible, that film,
Yep.
honestly. I did see it eventually. I don't have it on my list, but
Oh, I'm
oh
so sorry.
god, it was so fucking horrible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know you had seen it, man.
Well, because you kind of interested me after you put it at number one, so I was like, oh, I can't. Is it really that bad? It's pretty
I'm
fucking
li-
bad.
I'm like Samara with these fucking top
Now,
10
I
worst.
mean,
I just
obviously,
want
I don't
everyone
have it on my list, but
I want
like,
everyone to know my pain.
I kind of didn't want to count it just because it didn't feel like a film, honestly. It just felt like a student film, but worse,
That's some
honestly.
like some shot on shitio kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
So it's my number 10 now?
Yep.
Whew, okay, number 10. I saw this actually recently on Netflix because they just uploaded on Netflix.
Hmm.
But oh my god. Let's just say this. The last act of this movie was at least kind of dumb fun,
Uh-huh.
but the first maybe hour and a half was so fucking boring that I was like, is this the same film we're watching? And that is Meg 2 The Trench.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I watched this with my fam at first, and then I watched it on Netflix because I didn't finish it at
Yeah.
first because I was just so fucking bored. Like I
Yeah.
was like, oh my god. And then I did eventually finish it on Netflix since they uploaded it on Netflix,
Hmm.
and
That's the place to watch it if you're gonna.
that's definitely the place to watch it because I'm glad I didn't see it in theaters because oh boy, if I saw it in theaters, I would have utterly regretted myself, honestly. The first 2/3 of this movie is not even a Meg movie. It's like a spy espionage underwater film. It's like, what the fuck is this? Like, this isn't a Meg movie. Like, eventually it does become a shark movie at the last third of the movie, and that's when it starts to get a little bit entertaining, you know? But, oh my god, does it take so long to get there? It feels like it's hours to get there.
I've
Like,
heard some people trying to defend shittier shark movies that take a while to show the shark. They'll try and use Jaws as a defense, as if
no!
like
This
that's
is
just the
not the
same
same
thing.
thing.
Well, and Jaws is about the people and the effect the shark has on people. It's not just a spectacle for the shark.
When I'm going to see a Meg movie, I want to see the fucking Meg, bro. I do
Yeah, it's not
not
the
want to
same thing.
wait. I had to wait almost 2 hours. If I had to wait almost 2 hours to see a Meg, then you done something wrong.
Yeah, I think that that's proof that people don't quite understand what. Oh, the movie knows what it is. I don't think people know what that phrase means. At least not in this case, because I
This
think
is,
that that movie is not aware of how stupid it is because they treat it like Jaws, where they're taking forever to show this.
and it's like also like the fact that it's like made by a well-seasoned director like Ben Wheatley. It's like, what the fuck happened, bro? Like, I liked your movies before this. Like, what happened? It's it was just so boring. Like I did not expect to say that towards a shark movie recently, but man, was this fucking boring. And
Yeah, no, I don't.
Jason
I don't.
Statham still acts the same old shit like he did in the Transporter.
And see, I expect that of Jason Statham because like he's like a dog. We've trained him to just keep doing the same fucking thing over and over
And it's
again,
not his
and we'll
fault.
pay him.
It's not his fault technically. Like I actually think he's
No,
doing somewhat of a better job than most of the other actors in this film. It's just the film
yeah,
around him is so boring.
yeah. It's kind of a problem when your movie is making Jason Statham almost boring. That's not a good sign because Jason Statham, even at his worst, is still pretty entertaining.
I didn't care for this film at all. I know some people really liked it, and that's fine, but I
Mhm.
just don't see it. I don't see the so bad it's good in this, honestly. I just think it's bad.
I do agree with you too because I've seen it.
You've seen it
I
as
do.
well?
Yeah,
It's not on your list though?
no, because everything else is worse.
Okay, so but
I do
you think the
agree.
same way though, right?
I do think that it takes way too long to get entertaining, and when it does get entertaining, yeah, all right, like I'm on board. Like especially Jason Statham on a
Like
jet ski,
10 foot waves throwing spears.
throwing an explosive video game spear
It's
that
like
he
Resident Evil
hawks
4.
together. Yeah, I'm like, all right, see, this is what I wanted out of
This
this
is what I
fucking
wanted
movie.
the whole movie to be about. Why did it take this long?
Yeah, it took a little too long. It took a bit, yeah.
Like, cut the espionage shit and focus on the shark shit next time.
I think I said that exact thing on my letterbox.
Did
Now
you
that I think
really?
about it, I'm pretty sure I said the exact same thing of like, yeah, when it gets going, it's good, but once if you fell asleep
I wouldn't
before
blame
it got
you.
to that point, like I wouldn't entirely blame you.
It was boring, man.
Yeah.
um. All right, what's your number 9? I've ranted about it. Come on, we're already starting off heated up.
Yep. Yep. It's always easier to talk about
Worst
a
movies
movie
than best
that you
movies.
don't like
I know,
because
right?
you know what you don't like when you see it.
Exactly. What's your number 9 yet?
Excuse me. Number 9 is Fast X.
I actually did
All I'm
not.
gonna
Okay, so sorry. Before you start off, I actually was kind of entertained by this film, low key. So, but I know you aren't the biggest Fast fan, honestly, in of this
no.
franchise.
Well, and like I can appreciate up to a certain point in the series where like yeah, they are a lot of fun. They're stupid, but they're fun. But at a certain point for me, conveniently, right around the time that we lost one of the best actors in the series, unfortunately. That was kind of where I stopped having fun. Ever since then, it hasn't been quite as fun for me. And when Fast X came out, I noticed a lot more people were critical of this one than they were of the last couple movies. The last couple movies, everyone was like, "Oh man, they're so fun." The family memes, bro.
I think the
It's
ninth
all
one was
about
pretty criticized, though.
family.
The last one we saw, the one we had on our last year's list, was pretty. I
Yeah,
mean, it was criticized by us. So
it was criticized by us. This one seems much more universally like people are sitting up and being like, "Whoa, what happened? This
it's actually
movie's
not that
bad."
great.
And all I have to say is, it's always been like this.
Do you feel a little vindicated after that?
I feel like that meme of the astronauts in space, where everyone's like,
Always
"Whoa,
has been.
always has been, motherfucker." These movies have always had the same, and it's the same. The reason why I feel that way is because people are complaining about all the same problems that I have had with these movies for the last 3 or 4 entries. Where I'm like, yeah, I know that the villains are stupid. I know it doesn't make any sense. I know the acting is bad. I've been saying this shit for years, and people are only just now being like, "Huh, I
Oh
think
shit! Now it's actually bad.
the Fast movies are pretty bad now." I'm like, "Welcome to the fucking club, Jesus Christ!"
Welcome to Cinema 101, where you find out a Fast and Furious movie is actually bad.
Oh, and they had to dig back to 2011, add a character,
Oh,
add an
I know what you're
had
talking
a
about.
fan
Not just
fiction
one character,
OC
two
character.
characters,
Two
two
characters, fan
characters.
fiction OC character. Because remember, this is going to be a trilogy. We
I believe
need
that they're doing 3 parts of this shit.
Yeah, well, it might not happen now.
Oh, yeah, with Vin Diesel, oh boy.
Uh-huh. Yep. Not to mention this movie underperforming as fuck. They might just be like, dude,
Let's just do it and fuck it, end it on a cliffhanger for the whole franchise.
honestly, I think that'd be kind of fucking fire if we
I
just
think
ended this on a cliffhanger and it never ever gets finished. I think for Vin Diesel's, just for
I mean,
one
it does seem like
final,
it's not gonna happen, right? I
yeah,
mean,
I'm here for it. I'd be all right with it. A
I,
joke that never ends.
is it? Oh, man, that's just fucking funny to think about now. Holy shit.
All right, your turn. You're up.
Oh shit, my number nine. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, another horror film. And we'll talk about. Oh shit. Oh, speaking of boring fucking horror films. I was kind of looking forward to this one actually, considering the talent that was behind it, you know. But
Hmm.
man, was it hugely fucking disappointing for to me. And that was Insidious: The Red Door.
Oh, damn. Okay.
I couldn't believe how bored I was by an Insidious film, honestly. Because usually the first two Insidious films I saw were good. Like, they were good films by James Wan. I was actually
Yeah.
legitimately scared by them. Because he knows
Um.
how to tell a story and write scares, too.
Yeah. Refresh my memory. Is Insidious the one with Oh
Patrick
God.
Wilson and Rose Byrne.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking. For some
Yeah,
reason, I get in the first Insidious and what's the other one? The
Conjuring?
co- the poster is blood on a wall, and it has
Oh, Sinister?
Ethan Hawke in it. Yes, I get those mixed up in
Sinister.
my head. Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, Insidious is the one with Patrick Wilson. He actually directed this one, believe it or not. This is his first film he directed.
Really?
Which is, okay, to his
Huh?
credit, it actually didn't look that bad, like cinematography wise. Like, he actually did a pretty nice job with some of the shots, in my opinion. But man, you can't create if you have good you can have good shots but boring ass characters though, man. Like I was just so bored by the writing of like this film. Like I considering the first two films were much more exciting than this, like I just expected a lot more stuff to happen considering it was the family again from the first two movies cuz the third and fourth movie before this did not focus on this family. It was like prequels, I think, before this the other ones.
Yeah,
So this was a sequel to the first two James Wan
yeah.
films. So I was actually kind of looking forward to it, but man, they just kind of came up with a bland ass story for this one.
I
Like
have
I
a
couldn't
question for
believe
you.
it. What's up?
Is it possible? Because I saw this movie too, and I was also bored. Is it possible that the reason we were bored is because so much of the movie is spent rehashing moments from the
That's
other
exactly
movies?
what I think is the problem with it. They just
Okay.
rehashed so much shit from the other films. It just
It's
felt
like a
like
quick show.
flashbacks. Like
Yeah.
it just felt like getting flashback caked all of a sudden. It's like I feel like if whoever is a fan of the Insidious films would know what happened already, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. We, the audience, don't need a refresher on the
I
events.
feel like if there were a refresher, the first 10 minutes was a good enough refresher. We don't need
Yes.
to keep going on with it. Like,
Yeah.
it
But
just,
they base the entire plot around remembering the events. It's like, oh, but
but
that
it just comes up
sucks.
with nothing new at that point, and it's like so
Which is
boring.
why which is why it feels boring because it feels like you've already done this.
Exactly. So that's why I was really disappointed with this one because I was just expecting more from it. But I there was only like really one good jump scare, which was the hospital bed one, the CAT scan one. That was a good scare actually. I was like, oh shit, that kind of got me. But other than
That
that,
rem- that moment reminded me that I was alive and that I was
uh
watching a movie. But other than that,
yeah,
it was just kind of a flat line.
it was kind of just boring. Yeah, it was just such a snooze fest at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah,
Unfortunately, because I like Patrick Wilson a lot, and I don't think he could direct a good film. I just wish it wasn't this one.
yeah. Nobody's perfect. It's all
Nobody's
right.
perfect. It's fine, but
Yeah,
I still like him, man. It doesn't change my
yeah,
opinion of him. It's
yeah,
just my opinion of this movie is that it's not good. It's boring.
yeah, yeah.
So now it's your number eight.
Ugh,
Oh
yeah.
boy, let's go to it, man. I'm ready to be surprised
I
again.
I don't have a whole lot to say on this because I don't think anyone's gonna fight me on this. My number 8 is Strays.
Oh, I actually did not see this film yet, but I heard some very interesting opinions on this one.
Just like Sausage Party wasn't funny either. The same fucking shtick is not gonna work again. It's not funny just to swear when it's something that you don't expect to swear. Like, oh, haha, it's funny because the dog said fuck.
That's
That's
not funny.
laugh. Laugh, you sheep.
I
Slop
saw
it
the
up.
trailer for this and I was just not feeling it,
Yeah,
honestly. And I
literally, there is nothing else in. If nothing, like, at least the trailer is honest. You know what you're getting with that movie. There's no surprises whatsoever
so
in that
it
movie.
just feels like a
The,
waste of those talents.
yeah, but also like there isn't any talent in the movie. I hate to say it, but like it sounds really mean, but no one gives a shit in that movie. No one is trying. And I don't mean in front of the camera or behind it. No one cares. It's the most like any road trip, gotta get back home, whatever gross out comedy you can think of, Euro Trip is the first one that comes to my mind. Any movie like that is it's this, but it's just with dogs. And that's supposed to be enough of a spin to make it new. It's not. You know exactly where the movie's going from minute one. The only surprise, and I wouldn't even say it's a surprise, is that you've seen the trailer, right?
Uh-huh.
You've seen the trailer.
Yeah.
So when the Will Ferrell dog realizes that his owner has been mistreating him and abusing him and doesn't really want him, and he has the epiphany of, oh, I'm gonna bite his dick off, and it's kind of that's like the closest to like a joke, only because it defies your expectations.
So, okay, can spoil it? Because I guess with spoilers then, do they actually
Mm.
do it?
Yeah, he gets exactly what he wants,
Oh my god.
and then the movie ends. But like, it's like okay, but there were no surprises or twists. There was nothing else going on. He says he wants to do a thing, and the movie just gives him exactly what he wants. And like, it's not even funny. It's not even that funny. They, of course, they overhype the dramaticism. They put it in slow motion. They play like opera music to it or classical music to it. And I'm like, yep, these are all the same cookie cutter paint by numbers decisions I would make if I was editing my first baby movie too.
It kind of looks like a student film in some places now that I think about it when
And
I
a
saw the
couple
trailers.
I saw some pushback of like, oh, the movie's actually got like a heart and a message to it. I'm like, that is a master class example of how basic editing manipulation can trick people into thinking. Adam Sandler movies would do that for decades, where they would use cookie cutter emotional trickery to
Like
fool
like
you
like
into thinking
the
the
like that
movie
opera music or something like that, or some sort of like emotional moment.
make a kid cry, make them hug your main character and play sad music. Oh, aren't you sad now? Fuck off. Earn it. You have to earn it. God. All right, I'm done with strays. What's your number 8?
My number eight, oh boy.
Mm.
Eight's usually my lucky number because my I was born on 8/8/98.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I guess you're right.
fun fact.
Mm.
But my number eight film is definitely not a lucky one, and that is The Nun 2.
Don't want none of that.
This film, so I saw the first Nun back then. Sorry, kind of coughing a bit because I
You're
drank
fine.
drank something out the wrong hole. This movie was I saw the first Nun, and I didn't think of anything else of it because I thought it was kind of lackluster. It was fine, but it wasn't anything like special or anything like that. But this film, there was nothing to it. There was nothing to it at all. You know how we said with Insidious the Red Door how I was recapping the first events?
Hmm.
This is the exact film, and now that I think about it, oh my goodness. It just rehashes the first one. Like that's the dude, oh my god, the Nun 2 and Insidious have something in common, actually. My god, they just rehash the plot of the first one. And that's a big problem with these horror films with sequels. They just feel like they're rehashing what made the original so good, you know? And that's not really compelling. It's the same thing with The Hangover too. You know, like nobody really likes a rehash for a sequel. We want to see something new for the sequel,
Yeah.
you know? That's why, like, for instance, wasn't there something, did we have a sequel on our list this year by any chance, like for best of? John Wick 4. Like
Yeah.
that has a lot of new shit to it because they added a lot of cool looking action sequences that are new to it.
Yeah. Saw X is a sequel, and it
Saw
gave us
X is a
something.
sequel,
It gave us something new because it was good.
and it focused on Jigsaw, which was the character we cared for the most.
That's
With
what I said.
with the Nun, like it just feels like it's rehashing the first film again, like just focusing on the Volak demon nun, and it's like it's not that interesting, honestly. Like I found it scary in The Conjuring 2, but after that, I didn't really care for it, honestly. So that was it. Like I just thought it would be a one and done thing. I didn't think it would get like a spin-offs or anything like that, but now we have two of them.
It's the this whole like Conjuring cinematic universe reminds me of the Police Academy
It's just
movies.
so weird why it's a universe.
They're gonna keep, if you imagine your left hand and your right hand next to you, right? Put your left hand down a little bit and then your right hand up a little bit. Each movie they come out with, your hands get a little closer to the side, put them down a little bit. Budget to profit. Next movie comes out, bring them a little closer. Budget to profit, and then once they break even, they'll stop making those movies. But as long as they continue to make even a little bit of money, as long as your right hand is a little bit over your left, they'll keep making them.
And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, this film was just another rehash, I guess, just like the
Yeah,
first one, honestly.
yeah.
So
I
I don't
kind of
have
got
much to
that.
say.
I kind of got that impression from the trailer. I was like, it looks like Boo the movie, and
That's
I'm.
what it was. Like the jump scares were just obvious jump scares. Like it was
It re-
fun.
it remind watching the trailer reminded me of being a kid and watching that car commercial jump scare
Hmm.
where you're just watching a car at a distance driving out towards a horizon, and then for no reason, a skeleton jumps out in front of the camera and screams really loudly. I'm like, that's the Nun too. That's all
Boo.
it is. Boo. Gotcha.
What's your number, lucky? What's your unlucky number seven this time?
Ooh, I'm gonna elaborate a little bit on one you mentioned because my number 7 is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh shit! Okay, okay, okay. So,
One of the most toothless fucking movies I've seen in a couple of years.
so you disliked it more than me, even. So,
You mean I disliked seeing people wander between three sets? Whoa, guys, don't spend your budget all in one place now.
okay. So
Jesus
can
Christ.
I mention like we watched something similar a couple years ago? Willy's Wonderland, I think is what we watched a couple years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah,
See, I didn't care for that film either, but at least that film had some sort of energy to it, you know? Like it had some fun with it.
yeah, and it wasn't always good energy, but at least I felt some kind of
And it had
something.
Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, not at his best.
But it's still Nicolas Cage, and you still feel entertained seeing his face. So,
More, and there's more going on with him and those than
in Five Nights at Freddy's,
whatever the hell PETA from the Hunger Games is doing.
I love Josh Hutcherson and I love Matthew Lillard, but I feel like they were just so wasted in this film, honestly.
I mean, Matthew Lillard's got to eat too, man.
Hey, he's got to get his paycheck somehow, man.
Yeah, he's got to eat, and I'm for that. I love Matthew Lillard. This movie ain't it, and I love the director because, of course, the movie made a shit zillion dollars because there's tons of fans out there who will tell me I'm wrong and I don't understand the lore. I don't care. The movie was the chance to make me a fan, and they didn't do it. They just made a movie for fans. And it's not that there isn't a place for that. You can absolutely have fan service in your movie that has I totally get that. But this was not a movie made for regular people. This was a movie made for fans. And I love the director saying like, "Oh, it actually benefits us that it was rated PG-13. We actually were able to make you imagine more of the horror, and it's actually scarier that way." Don't overdose on your copium, please. I hate that mentality because it's very like uppity. People that directors that use imagination for effective horror are people that still know how to use cinematic language, like they still know what they're doing to suggest the scary things going on in your head. There still has to be a horror setup so that the audience can naturally start to imagine those scary things. Like we were talking about with Jaws earlier, like when there's a scene where it pulls a random guy underwater and the shark doesn't breach the water. It's like a bird eye shot from on top of the water, and the shark gets just close enough to the water that you can see his mouth open and his eyes, and that's kind of it. And then it disappears, and then the guy disappears right after that. That's using cinematic storytelling to set up. You don't have to see the guy getting ripped to pieces.
You
You can
just have
imagine it.
you just have to set up that tension, you know? You just
You have to set up you have to give the setup so that the audience knows what they should be imagining. You still have to know what you're doing. It's not because it's PG-13 or PG in Jaws' case. You still have to know what you're doing, and the guy that made Five Nights at Freddy's doesn't know what he's doing because half of the stuff in that movie that's quote unquote supposed to be left to your imagination is not conveyed to the audience very well at all. And on top of that, it's just fucking boring. Like I was never scared about anything going on in the movie.
yeah, I wasn't really that engaged either, honestly, even though there was some effort put into the animatronics, which I do like. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the franchise, like I said. So
And
I
this
don't
could have
know.
made us fans. Like I said, this was their chance to make us fans. Godzilla Minus One made people Godzilla fans. I guarantee you that people who saw Godzilla Minus One either went on Amazon or they went to the mall nearby and they started looking. They would at least wonder, hey, do they have any Godzilla stuff? They were started to become fans because they liked the movie. This is not it. This is not the one.
Well, brace yourself. We're gonna get 3 more movies after this.
That I won't see.
It made $300 million, though, which is one of the biggest for a horror film.
Transformers also broke
Yeah,
box office.
well,
Color
except for
me,
the latest
color me.
ones.
Oh yeah, but like I'm talking about like Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon.
Oh, Age of Extinction. Ugh.
Yep. Yeah, color me impressed.
All right, so is it my number 7 now?
Yep.
Oh, God damn it! It's unlucky number 7, and it's very unlucky. Oh
Hmm.
man. Okay, probably the worst MCU film I've ever seen, honestly, other than
Ooh,
Thor: The
into the
Dark World.
Marvel. All right.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
Oh, I should have seen that coming. Ah, I feel stupid. I should have seen that coming.
It's just so ugly, honestly, to look at. Like, they kind of fuck up the character development of most of the characters from Ant-Man. Like, they don't feel like the same characters from the first 2 movies, honestly. They feel like caricatures of themselves now. Like, the only people that are really carrying this film are Jonathan Majors and Paul Rudd, honestly. And Jonathan Majors, we all know what happened to them now.
Whoops.
Whoopsie daisies. Guilty. Oh man. But anyways, it's just visually ugly. Like, it's not at all like fun like anymore. Like, it just doesn't have any fun energy to it. Like, it just feels like after Endgame, it feels like Marvel is just trying to play catch up to that hype level now, but they haven't been able to do it ever, other than probably No Way Home for
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
yeah,
They haven't been able to do it because
yeah.
every single other film, well, there have been some projects that I've loved still, like Loki, for example, I still like a lot. Um, and I did kind of like Doctor Strange for the kookiness of it, you know. But anyways, yeah, I just felt like with most Marvel films these days, they're just not having fun anymore. Well, Guardians 3, I also really loved this year too, but yeah, that's it though. Like there's only like a few select in between that I can choose from the really mediocre to some even shit projects they've been doing lately for this phase.
I,
Like
I like I liked the Marvels this year, just not enough
I
to.
didn't see it fully yet, but I do want to see it still just 'cause I heard some interesting things about it.
I couldn't bear to put it in my top 10 because I cannot endorse a serious movie that uses the plot of Spaceballs in a serious manner.
What the
I
heck?
I when you see it, you'll know exactly what I'm
Okay,
talking
okay.
about.
I'll probably know what you're talking about then, because
I
I.
I I, I think they'll revoke my film critic card if I do that. So I can't actually do that.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know, man. I just thought this film was not good at all for Marvel. Like, it really was just so bland. Like, the Quantum Mania world was just so uninteresting to look at, honestly. Like, and Modoc, oh, don't even get me started on Modoc CGI, bro. Ugh, yeah, it's not great. It's probably my least favorite Marvel films, other than probably Thor: The Dark World, honestly. And even Thor: The Dark World felt like it had a little more effort than this.
Well, and now I just realized with Jonathan Majors being ejected from the universe, now the movie is absolutely useless to
It's
watch.
very
Like there's
useless now.
actually no reason to watch it now. Like before, like I haven't heard great things about it, but at least before, people would argue like, well, but it's setting up the new big bad. So if you want to keep up, then like it is required viewing. But now that he's not going to be a thing anymore. Whoops again. Fucking
Whoopsie!
whoops. Fucking whoops the daisies.
The
That's
more
so
you fuck
funny to me.
around, the more people are gonna find out.
The more you gonna find out, boy.
You know that meme with the teacher when he uses the pen or
The more you
the
gonna find
chalkboard?
out. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite memes to use. Okay, so what is it, number 6 now for you?
Yeah, number
Oh
6.
shit, number
All right.
6.
My number 6 is the Haunted Mansion. God.
The newest one, like the one with Danny DeVito and shit.
Yep.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Huh.
with a cast like that,
You think
the
it'd be
movie
good?
you think it would at least be entertaining. I don't necessarily need it to be Pirates of the Caribbean again, but I would expect it to at least be like get a chuckle out of me every now and then. I was so bored for the entire runtime of that movie. The only time that I felt anything was when I kind of cringed inwardly and did that thing with your arms and legs and shoulders where you kind of go, ooh, 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 that wasn't, you go, oh,
That
that
wasn't
wasn't
good.
funny. That wasn't funny at all. It's kind of incredible, like how it's hard to describe bad editing. And I think you know this. It's hard to describe how what bad editing looks like, but you know it when you see it. And just from the setup scene that takes place in the past to kind of set up all the ghosts being there, just from that moment alone, I was like, "Oh no. You can't you can't keep cutting back and forth between people talking when it's just one person talking." Like one person is talking to another and they cut back and forth four or five times. I'm like, he's not even monologuing. He's just kind of he's like two or three lines. I'm like, this is a lot. This feels a little hyperactive at the moment, actually. And what really bewilders me is that when a movie is this boring And when the AI has clearly written your script and you clearly casted a child actor who is way too old for the character that they wrote, I cannot imagine a child sitting still for 2.5 hours through a movie like this. Because the other thing is that it takes a long time for the hijinks to actually happen. There's a lot of fucking around with the camera obscura. You know what I mean? A camera that can capture ghosts in it, like a Fatal Frame.
Yeah, I remember that
They
Fatal Frame.
they take so long with that like I would imagine kids getting bored too. Like I don't think I'm crazy here. I don't think I'm asking for much for this movie to just be kind of entertaining. But for a movie that is ultimately a suicide awareness movie, my mind was definitely starting to wander, and I was looking for any kind of way for this movie to end sooner, or at least for me to be done watching it sooner.
So yeah, I
I
didn't see this one fully. I saw bits and pieces of it on Disney Plus
don't.
with my parents.
It's not even worth a so bad it's good watch. Or if
Gotcha.
you're or if you're going to, time yourself and see how long you can make it before you either roll your eyes or before you check your phone.
Well, let me ask you something. Have you seen
Mm.
the Eddie Murphy one?
Yeah,
Do you think that one's better than this?
yeah, it's better. But like only like that doesn't really sound like an endorsement because I don't like the other one that much either. But comparatively, like it's like a broken leg and a punctured lung. They both suck, but I'll take the broken leg over a punctured lung.
True. Um, man, yeah, that doesn't sound like a nice endorsement to see it then on Disney Plus. The rest of it.
Nope, not even for free. Fuck it.
You know what's funny? My mom watched the rest of it, but then she was like, I don't really like that one. I like the Eddie Murphy one more." That's what my mom said to me, and I'm like, "Oh my god!" If my mom said that, then oh, it's probably not
That's
good then.
Then it's really not. They also do this thing with a cat where they're like, there's a revelation at the end of the movie, like, oh my god, it was the same cat all along. Basically, is what it boils down to. But they keep bringing the cat back up over and over throughout the movie to the point where you're like, is that the cat? Is that the cat they were looking for? And they do this mic drop surprise at the end, like, guess what, guys?
It was the
That was
cat.
the cat we were looking for. The whole I'm like, I
Guy.
know. It's like I'm actively sitting there petting the cat on my lap. I'm like, yeah, I know. You kept talking about it and wouldn't shut the fuck up. How would anyone not? You would have to be like comatose to miss the fact. That is a small analogy for how the whole movie is written. It's just littered with stuff like that where I'm
Lighting
like,
endorsement.
yeah, it's like I know, I'm not, I know where this is going. Stop pretending like there's gonna be a surprise.
Wow, man. Yeah, that doesn't sound really nice for the Haunted Mansion, honestly. It sounds very
No, it wasn't.
cliched.
Yeah, it wasn't very nice to me, so I'm not gonna be nice to you.
uh,
Your
all
turn.
right. It was it number six for me now?
I think so.
Oh shit. Oh man. Number unlucky. Oh man. 666. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. No. It's actually not a horror film for my number six, but it is a very bland Guy Ritchie film in Operation Fortune.
Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
This was so fucking bland for a Guy Ritchie film, dude. Like, okay, I've seen pretty much a lot of his films at this point. Like, I saw The Gentleman, and I thought that was so much better than this film, honestly. Because at least with that film, it still had the Guy Ritchie energy to it. It still had the snappy energy, the quippy characters, you know. This had none of that, honestly. It just felt like a flat line all the way through. It was just so bland and boring, honestly. Like again, like I said, Jason Statham just acts like his usual transporter self, you know, in this film. And honestly, like Hugh Grant, like we just talked about him actually on for Dungeons and Dragons. Like his villain here is not nearly as engaging as something like him in Dungeons and Dragons, honestly. because he was just playing it straight, and it just didn't work that well, honestly, in my opinion.
It's a good testament to like, yeah, it's the same actor, but if you give
But
him
the
shit to
it's the
work with,
different script though. It's Guy Ritchie's script, and it's just so
yeah,
bland. It
that's what I'm
feels
saying
like
was that like if you can't if you still give them shit to work with, it doesn't matter. There's only so much they're going to be able to do
it's
with
still gonna
it.
be shit.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this movie was so fucking. I think we talked about this last time on the last podcast, so I don't want to go too much into it. But yeah, it was
yeah.
fucking bland for a Guy
And I
Ritchie film.
and I kind of took some of the blame for if Aubrey's performance kind of like tanked a little bit. I still stand by that. That's partially my fault. I'm glad that she was able to stay.
It's
It sounds like she was able
okay.
to stay professional, at least when she was working on the
It's
set
okay.
with
She
people.
came back with Scott Pilgrim last month.
That's true. Yeah, I actually still haven't watched
Oh, you
that
should
yet.
have.
Which
Oh, dude, you gotta watch that, man. It's one of my favorite shows
that's
this year.
that's what she tells me. That's what everybody. Yeah, it says that I should, especially because I really like that franchise.
All
But
right.
like,
Enough about Aubrey. What's your number five?
you're right. In the past, love you, Aubrey. My next one is. Boy, it's a banner fucking year for video game movies this year because I have Gran Turismo coming up next.
Ooh,
Mm.
really?
Yep.
I actually, huh? I actually didn't hate this one as much as I thought I would, but okay, you put this really high on your verse stuff, so what made it on the halfway list?
Part of it is a similar mentality that you have where you're like, I expect more out of this director. This was by Neil
Oh,
Blomkamp,
yeah. I
but
mean,
you like when you're looking when I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, this could have been directed by anybody.
sure, but I do feel like out of all the films he's done before, like it's kind of better than Chappie at least.
Oh, there's a fucking compliment. Yeah, it's better than fucking Chappie.
I mean, I thought Chappie
One
was
of the
pretty bad.
biggest put I one of the biggest put a bullet in my brain movies I've seen in the last decade. Fuck Chappie. Just watch Short Circuit or Short Circuit 2. Anyway, I also just kind of felt another reason why it's so much higher on my list is because I felt it was really cynical. It feels really surprisingly like spiteful of what is presumably its core demographic. Like there's a lot of shit talking of like the gamer community. Like half of David Harbour's lines is just like ha ha boomer doesn't understand, but like they're not meant to be that his jokes and his playing around is not meant to be it's meant to be like Clint Eastwood's character in Gran Torino, but that's how it comes off. It's supposed to be like charming and like ha 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 he's just a little rough around the edges, but he sounds like like
Sounds
Clint
like
Eastwood
good
in Gran
Eastwood in
Torino,
Gran Torino.
where it's like, it kind of just seems like he hates this fucking kid. Not getting a whole lot of lovable affirmation from this guy, and that's a tough balance to strike. But I think David Harbour could do it if he was given the right script, and I don't think this was that script.
I actually thought the kid did a pretty good job with what he
The
was given with.
the kid did a decent job, yeah, but that's because like I've seen him in other movies this year,
He was
specifically
Saltburn.
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 Yeah, he was really great in Saltburn. I didn't really care for that movie overall, but he was really good. A lot of the performances in Saltburn are like A plus plus quality. Um, the character he had in this, I really needed more time with him. They
Hmm.
want to sell right off the bat, like, oh man, driving is my life. I'm like, this is the most stock thing I've ever heard in my life. But okay,
I mean,
tell me why.
that's what
Tell
everybody says in like Fast and Furious movies too, and stuff like that.
Yeah, but those movies aren't trying to be based on a true
Yeah,
story,
yeah. They're just
inspirational.
fantasy movies, you
They're
know,
just they're yeah, exactly.
fictional,
And
fictional.
they're also supposed to be the Fast and Furious movies are much more like power fantasy, quote
Yeah,
unquote. Like you're supposed to be seeing yourself kind of doing those cool things.
but this is a true story.
The appeal of the Fast and Furious movies is not Paul Walker's character, it's being those characters doing that cool shit.
Yeah, but this is a
With
true
this
story.
this is quotes
Quote unquote.
in quotations. But Yeah, anytime a movie touts based on a true story, it's trying to inspire something, and you can fucking tell from the stock ass like celebrating in slow motion and the emotionally swelling music and Orlando Bloom's monologues about like they are our future. I'm like, really? You're gonna try and sell cars to the gaming community
It's
who
surprising to see
can,
Orlando Bloom in this type of role, honestly.
right? Like, and any idiot can tell that this is not how real life works because none of the a lot of the motivations and the decisions don't feel natural or real. Like, starting with Orlando Bloom's monologue to try and like, convince this committee of what, three people apparently, a person, about like, oh, let's start the Gran Turismo Academy, and then they immediately forget about the academy because they just put the main kid into a real car and racing. I'm like, isn't this Gran Turismo? Like
Yeah, isn't that just Gran Turismo?
30 minutes in, and the gaming part of the video game movie is over. And I have a theory that no one involved in making the movie has actually played the fucking game that they're making the movie about. So they just wrote around it. We're like, and now he's a real driver. I'm like, shouldn't that be like the goal of the movie to be? I don't know. Fuck me. He wants to be a driver in real like one day, and he accomplishes his goal in like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Also, big big point taken away whenever there's a basic dialogue scene and it's shaky cam.
Oh, I've noticed that. Oh,
I hate that shit. Buy a fucking tripod, please. I know you can
just
afford
get a
it.
steady cam. God damn it! Come on, y'all.
Borrow one of mine. You can borrow one of mine. Put me in the credits. You can borrow mine. If it's so expensive that you can't manage it, borrow one of mine. I will let you. It's fine. Don't do this shaky cam crap when it's just two people talking at each other.
Yeah, Ford
Anyway,
versus Ferrari. This ain't it.
no, no, this isn't even Need for Speed. Remember when they tried to do that too?
The Aaron Paul one.
Yep. Sorry,
you,
Aaron Paul.
you know, I didn't completely hate that one for what it was trying to do. At least it was a fictional movie. At least it wasn't trying to base off anything,
That's true. Yeah, you've got me there. It didn't have the
and
aspiration
it did
or
have
the
some good
like.
racing in it, from what I
Yeah,
remembered.
well, it was actually about racing, so
It
I'll
was
give it
about
a point
racing.
there.
We'll give him a point
Yeah,
there for that. It was just kind
yeah,
of
and
bland in some parts, from what I
yeah, I was gonna
remembered.
say like it accomplished what it was trying to do, and I'm convinced that what it was trying to do is put me to sleep
But this film, it seemed to get on your nerves more, though.
exponentially worse because it's cynical, because it's trying to, oh, we're telling the true story of an underdog. I'm like, the kid was trying to find something to do between his gap year in college. Don't fucking lie to me.
Oh man, that's so great. That was so funny, man.
All right,
Oh,
you're up.
is my number five now?
Yep.
Oh, oh no, number five. We talked about this on the last one, so I won't go into it too
Mm,
much.
okay.
But it's probably the worst superhero movie I've seen this year, honestly, and it's The Flash.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. The parade of
Okay.
dead bodies.
I like to call it the worst cameos of the year movie. Um, yeah, man, this movie was bad. Like, there's some defenders of this movie too, and I'm surprised by that. And I'm like, what do you guys see in this film that is good? Honestly, there's not a single shot here that looks real, that feels real. Honestly, like, if we were to compare this to something like the Batman that came out the year before, like, come the fuck on, y'all. Like,
The bar has been raised.
the bar has been highly raised at this
Yeah.
point for DC films, and this is what they could come up with for a Flash movie? Like, come on, y'all. Like, and the fact that they just got that parade of dead people, like, to CGI and AI cameo at the end is, like, so disgusting to me, honestly. That's why I put it a little bit lower on the list, because I was just like, that part disgusted me, honestly, it's the most. I was like, why did we need George Reeves? Why did we need Christopher Reeve back?
Uh,
Was there a point to have Helen Slater next to him? I don't fucking know. Why was Adam West there? Ugh, it's fucking
uh,
awful, man. I don't want to go too much into it. So I
well, we
think
talked about it
we
once
talked about it
before
to death,
already.
honestly. So
I found that with both good and bad movies, but especially bad movies, it's kind of like a champagne cork. Like once
yeah,
you've already popped the cork off, you can't
you
really
can't
replicate
really
that.
replicate it. Yeah,
Yeah. Once your base emotional, like your initial reaction to it is already out of your body and you've spoken your piece, it's kind of hard to keep coming back to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, The Flash, without a doubt, the worst superhero film I've seen this year.
All right.
So
All right.
down to your number four. Oh boy, number four. Here we go, man.
Wait, are we already at number 4?
Yeah, I mean we've been doing this for a while right now, so doing this for
Shit, you're
almost 3
right.
hours.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Well, we're not done with the video game train
Oh,
just yet.
what's next, man?
Number 4 is the Super Mario Brothers
Oh,
movie.
shit. Okay, well, didn't expect that to be on this list, honestly, because, you know, I kind of accepted it for what it is. I think it's decent enough.
Nope.
You don't think so, though, obviously.
Nope.
Okay,
I
you
actually,
gotta
it was
tell me.
tough. It was tough deciding which was more cynical, this or Gran Turismo. But
Really? You thought this was more cynical?
I think this is more cynical. This is the
Really?
most. This is the like. I think this is everything wrong with American animated movies right now.
Huh.
There has not been.
Interesting.
We've been on this trend with American animated movies lately, for the most part, and I fucking hate it. It's bland. I think it's uninspired. It's the most brain dead script. Character wise, the acting can suck my ass. Which kind of goes into the other issue I have with American Western animated movies, where celebrities are not voice actors by default, and I wish we would kind of stop fucking doing this.
You know, I will say this though, after watching The Boy and the Heron, like it really does make Chris Pratt just seem like he's lazying it up. He's being lazy most of the
Yep,
time.
always has been. He always has been. The only reason that he was acceptable in the Lego movie was because the character himself was supposed to be a mediocre, run of the mill, no one special character to start with, anyway. So guess what? Chris Pratt? Yeah, that's pretty perfect. That's pretty spot on, I'd say. But like it is such a product that it kind of makes me sick. And they know that it's a product. And that's what I think where the cynicism comes in from, because they just littered it with, hey, clap at the thing that you know. Just clap, you fucking sheep. You know what Mario Kart is? Yay! Clap at the Mario. Oh, there's Donkey
Yo,
Kong.
there's Diddy
Clap
Kong.
at Donkey Kong. Oh, look, it's the Mario kitty cat suit. Clap. I know what that is. Look, it's Anya Taylor-Joy. Definitely portraying a character and not just reading the lines like any old fucking person would. Oh, wait. That's exactly what she's doing. I just didn't find it wasn't about anything. I didn't find any joy. None of the jokes really worked. I thought that Mario's voice acting was shitty. I didn't even really enjoy Jack Black as Bowser because he was just doing the same old fucking shtick he always does, which is fine on the whole. But I would have liked to have seen Bowser the character and not Jack Black doing Tenacious D bullshit for an
Well,
hour and a half of the movie.
I guess we're gonna
If
see more of that because he just got cast as Steve in the Minecraft movie.
yeah. I have less emotional attachment to Minecraft. I really don't care. I really don't care. That's fine for Minecraft players because that game actually is pretty pivotal to gaming as a whole. But like it just reminds me of like companies seeing a new generation as customer, like breeding a new, like, hey, they'll be nostalgic about the Mario Brothers all over again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just It didn't strike me as a movie that anyone wanted to make. It struck me as a thing that people made because it would make money. And I know that movies as a whole, like, they're products. They are designed mostly to make money. However, I would still argue that most movies have some kind of a creative spark somewhere. Some are more prevalent than others, and that's okay. I happen to enjoy several movies that are purely products, and that's and that's okay. But like something about this one being aimed at kids rubs me the wrong way. I just didn't I don't like a lot of American animated movies now, and I wanted to give this one a chance, and it turns out I felt like I was right. It didn't convince me.
Mm-hmm. It's a me, not a Mario time.
It's the Super Mario Brother movie because they don't even have both brothers in the movie for most of it.
That is true. Luigi does feel really sidelined in this film.
No,
And it's a shame because I like Charlie Day as a choice for Luigi, actually.
he's fine. I actually enjoyed Keegan Michael Key as Toad more, just because
He's actually pretty good.
I couldn't tell that was him actually.
He's
It
actually
took
really funny in Wonka as well.
I had to look him up, so I didn't recognize his voice. He was actually like doing a thing.
Oh man, yeah. I thought it was okay, like a decent film, but clearly you don't like it that much, so it's fine. I mean,
Fucking hate it. Fucking hate when there's just nothing to. And listen, if all you want is to see the references that you know on screen, I'm not saying that's bad. That's fine. You can enjoy that. But for people that actually want like a movie to be about something, I we are also allowed to not like that. This movie is it's
yeah, it's
about
totally fair.
nothing. It's about nothing. And
That's why.
I don't need an Inception level plot for a fucking Mario. I know it's a kids movie. But come the fuck on, man. Kids movies can still be good. They don't have
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
stupid just because they're for kids, you know what I mean?
yeah. Film is subjective, like we
Yeah.
say all the time.
All right, you're up next.
Oh man, number four for me. Ooh. I won't go into
Ooh.
it too much since we did talk about it on our last list again, but it's Netflix's We Have a Ghost. We also talked about it briefly before
Oh
as
yeah.
well with your
Uh-huh.
Jules choice, I think.
Wow,
But
still riding that
oh
train, huh?
yeah, it was just so fucking dull. Like I just don't understand how you can make a haunted house movie so dull like that. Like the effects were even horrible. Like David Harbour's ghost effects were so bad, and like the only thing that was really the highlight was again Jennifer Coolidge, because you know Jennifer Coolidge at least has a good funny moment in a film, but that's it. That's all it has. Nothing else about this film was anything fun but fun. It was nothing about it was fun.
But fun.
It was funless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I felt like it just didn't know what it wanted to
It
do.
definitely did not know what it wanted to do. It was so weird considering it was by the Freaky and Happy Death Day director. So
Yeah.
it's like it's just weird. I don't know,
The
man.
the only thing that I am confident that they knew they wanted to do and actually felt like a solid choice was the resolution for David Harbour's ghost at the very, very tail end of the movie when he kind of gets his Casper moment and his unfinished business is done and he crosses over. That's the only moment in the movie where I felt like they made a confident choice in the movie. Everything else kind
It's
of just
so
felt like they were. It
dull.
was like they were throwing dice
It's
and
like
just kind of, you know, that campfire game where someone starts the story and then the next person
has
continues
to.
the
Oh, they
story.
continue and then someone else finishes it off. Yeah, I know that story. That game.
Yeah, that
But
honestly,
it's like the
watching that
worst
movie,
story you can come up with.
that movie kind of feels like you're listening to somebody playing that game
Like
because
it has those moments of treasure, but then the most of them is like so boring.
Hollow. It's
It's
because there's no.
hollow.
It's because in this analogy, the person who was previously telling the story didn't set you up for any of the things that you brought up in your segment of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a bunch of shit that happens. And then continuing down the line, the next part of the story, you didn't set up for any of that stuff. And they're just deciding to, oh, and now it's the FBI with ghost guns.
It was so boring, bro. Uh, all right, so it's your number three then. Oh shit, we're down to the last three. Okay, let's see here what you got next.
This is where I get to like expel all of the rage and anger from watching some of these movies. You know what I mean? Oh, I knew that this movie wasn't going to be good. I knew going into it because of the previous movies in its series, franchise, what have you. I knew what to expect, but I still had to know because enough people were telling me like, "Well, it's not as bad. It's definitely it's the best of them." And I went, "Oh, okay. Well, Saw was the best of those movies, and you know, I've had some
It can't be
surprises
that
this
bad,
year.
right?
I've had a couple of surprises, so I'll keep an open mind enough to watch 2 hours and 45 minutes or 50 minutes of it. So let's see what it's about. Y'all are fucking high because The Little Mermaid is just as bad as all the other Disney live action remakes as of late.
Oh my goodness gracious me. So okay, I didn't see this one yet because frankly I didn't really have much of an interest honestly because I just didn't care for the other live action remakes as well.
Yep.
I've
Yeah.
heard some really interesting opinions about this one, so give me your takeaway, man.
My takeaway is that it still has all the same problems as the other, like The Lion King and all the other ones. It's still the same. It's still bad CGI. They still change the music. They still change characters for seemingly no reason. There's new out of place music added in, and you can tell which one. Like if I were to MIB style neuralize your brain and make you forget having seen the original Little Mermaid, and I told you, hey, watch this. This is a remake of a older '70s movie. You would be able to tell me which songs were new and which ones were old, because the new songs all have this poppy. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like the Greatest Showman. Like they have a very like
Oh,
anthem kind of feel to them, which
theater,
isn't
like a theater feel.
bad. Yes, it isn't necessarily bad, but it's very out of place compared to the other songs in the movie. Which again, they keep changing the songs, and I don't know why you feel you need to do that when The Little Mermaid got nominated for so many fucking
Well,
song awards
the
when it came
new
out.
songs were by Lin-Manuel Miranda, apparently, so it kind of makes
Yeah, and they
sense.
all suck. I like some of his other things that he's made, but ever since having joined Disney, they just have him. He's like the analogy that I come to is that he's like a spice, but you cannot use that same spice in every dish, and you can't use too much of it because it will overpower your dish, and everything ends up tasting the same. But Disney doesn't just sprinkle this particular spice; they take the top off and they just dump it into the soup that they're making for you, and it all just sounds this fucking same. Okay, here's an example. Ursula's song, "Poor Unfortunate Souls," super sick.
Mm-hmm.
One of the coolest songs, one of the coolest villain songs ever, but also one of the best Disney songs. In the original, there's a moment where she's singing her song and she's singing about the people the mermaids that she's tricked in the past, but she's trying to come off like I'm misunderstood. I wasn't tricking them. I was helping them. I'm just misunderstood. And she at mid song she turns to her little eels, her henchmen, Flotsam and Jetsam, and she kind of nudges them, and she has a little side moment, like a little sneer, and she goes, "Yeah, those idiots, those fools, like yeah, whatever," to kind of indicate to the audience, like, "Oh yeah, no, she's lying." But in the remake, they keep the same lyric, they keep the same line, but she doesn't say it quietly to her little henchman. She says it straight into the camera, looking at Ariel.
Like, yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Why would you keep the lyric but change the script? Like, did you not realize that that was supposed to be a moment for us, the audience, to illustrate that she's tricking Ariel? But it's like they didn't watch the original or something, or they just clearly don't understand what they were adapting. Because they also give Ariel a song after she's lost her voice. And I'm going to give you a moment to wrap your mind around how the fuck that works. Or even why. Why would you do that?
That doesn't make sense.
It don't make no sense. You right. You right. It don't make no sense. And of course, like, I also have to say, there's more to singing than just hitting the notes. And what's your name?
Halle Bailey?
Thank you, because I always want to. I
You
always
almost
want.
said I
I
know what you're
all.
thinking of.
Yep. I kept wanting to mention Storm because their names are very similar. And she has a very good voice, and she actually can sing, unlike everyone in the Lion King remake. Uh, Actually, the girl that plays Nala is pretty good. But other than that, no one in that movie could sing, and at least they got someone who could sing to play Ariel, and that is important. But the thing is that there is more, like I said, there's more to a musical than just hitting the notes. You need to actually be able to perform the music. It's theater, it's theatrics, it's performance art. And
It's acting.
it's acting still. Yeah, you're still acting. And it's like her brain can't juggle acting and singing at the same time because she shuts one off to turn the other one on, and it's really distracting. It makes it hard to get into her character because it doesn't seem like she has any emotion when she's singing, and yeah, it actually doesn't seem like she has much emotion when she's acting either. Um Also, I'm just going to spoil it. She kills Ursula in the end of the movie.
Kills.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not how that goes in the original?
And she does it the same way that the guy does in the original. He doesn't have a name, but in the original, the guy steers the boat into Ursula, right? Well, in this, it's Ariel that does it. Except now it doesn't make. I know you want to have a girl that can take care of herself, but now it doesn't make sense because Ariel doesn't know how to fucking steer a boat. She doesn't even know what a fork is for. You're gonna tell me she knows how to steer a boat? And then
Yeah.
also, you want to talk about bad new songs? Aquafina got a song.
Oh, I heard of it. Yeah, it's pretty annoying, honestly, from what I heard.
uh,
Man.
I did a couple theater checks in that movie, uh, and I wasn't sure what exactly I was hearing when I did it. But then, as soon as I was sitting at home watching it, and the fucking song starts, and I went, oh no, it's a whole ass song. It's a whole like, song, quote unquote song. It's not a song. Like I've talked before with people about like speak singing in movies and how like in musicals and how it can work. This ain't it. This is not a speak song. She's just prattling on about like, hey, you guys, I
Mm-hmm.
heard this important information. And then she doesn't tell them the information that she learned. She's just bragging about what she learned, like she heard something new. It's just from beginning to end, they didn't. And I'm gonna end with this. I could have forgiven a lot about this movie if Ariel and whatever his name is,
Prince Eric?
sure, that's I don't think he has a name, but if they had even the slightest bit of romantic chemistry, I would be willing to forgive a lot about the movie. But they have the chemistry of a gas station bathroom. It's
So, nothing.
really not great. The the 2D animated characters had more chemistry, and you could argue like, oh, they fell in love in a day or whatever. It's like it's actually a little longer than that, but they're also young, and I can see it in their eyes that there's chemistry there. They are at least like they're attracted to each other. They do like each other, and like because she can't even fucking talk, he does come to like her. So like there's something, but in the remake, nothing, absolutely nothing. And I feel like in a romance movie like this, or where romance is very integral to the story, that's a very crucial part to get wrong.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like the remake I'm interested in watching, so
Not without
honestly.
alcohol on hand.
It's not without alcohol. Okay. Gotta make sure I have that in handy then. It's just
Take a shot every time Aquafina makes you roll your eyes.
oh goodness gracious. It's probably gonna be a lot of shots. I'm just kidding.
Starting with the scene where she dives into the water and has conversations with the fish.
But she's a bird.
You're
I thought
right. She is a bird. It don't make no sense, does it?
it don't make no sense.
Fucking, it's fucking stupid, isn't it? Oh, but Caleb, birds do actually they do dive underwater, so you're wrong. Yeah, I know they do, but they don't fucking breathe underwater either. Fucking Bill Nye the Science Guy. All right, you're up.
Oh, number three for me. Oh shit. Okay. Oh, okay, wow. Okay, well, this is another Netflix film. We
Mm,
haven't talked about this one at all yet.
okay.
I was really, really looking forward to this one, honestly, man. But oh my god, was it so disappointingly slow and lacking of character?
Mm,
Honestly, like I couldn't believe it. Like it just felt like I was watching a rip off of a bunch of other things, and not in a good way. Because there are some rip-offs that can be fun at least, or fun to riff on. But this was just boring, and that is Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon Part One, A Child of
Oh
Fire.
yeah, I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah, I saw this
Okay.
thing. I was looking forward to it honestly, because to be fair, I do like
Mm.
some Zack Snyder stuff. Like I do. I like Dawn of the Dead. His
Yeah,
Dawn of the Dead
even
movie.
a broken clock is right twice a
Yeah.
day. Like, yeah.
I like some of his films. I like 300. I liked his Watchmen adaptation. I
Yeah.
I actually liked his Justice League cut personally.
Mm,
So when he does something, it can be interesting visually. And don't get me wrong, this film is visually nice at least.
yeah.
But you can't have just something visually nice without any substance, though. Like, geez, there's just no character to it whatsoever.
Mm,
All of the characters just feel like they're cardboard cutouts of other characters from other films, like Star Wars. Like, it's obviously such a riff off of Star Wars, and it's so like it just feels like a fan film, honestly, at that point,
mm,
and not a good one at that.
mm.
Like, apparently the script got shuffled around from like Disney because it was wanting to be a Star Wars film at first. Got
Oh, really?
rejected by Disney. He actually went to other studios like Warner Bros. To set it up as an original film. Got
Huh,
rejected. And then
interesting.
he finally went to Netflix. And
Wow. I guess I really haven't been paying attention as much as I thought with this one.
dude, I know there's an extended cut coming soon, apparently in a few months, and like, I guess you could say I am a little interested to see how that goes, but at the same time, I'm like, this is just so, like, I don't care about any of the characters in this. Literally, the only character that actually had some emotion to it was a robot voiced by Anthony Hopkins in it for 10 minutes.
Mm.
Out of that 2.5 hour movie. I was literally talking to my brother about this because we watched it as well, and we were just like, because they kept describing things, like they kept doing a lot of exposition, but there was just nothing happening though. Like there was no action to it. Like
Mm.
what's his face? Jimon Hansu, that actor from
Yeah.
Gladiator and such. He's in
Yeah.
it. He's in the film as a guy named General Titus, and they keep describing him as this ultimate badass, but he never does anything badass. Like, what the fuck is happening with him?
You can't just tell me. You
You
have to
can't
show
just
me.
tell me they do that. They tell and not show. That's the problem with this movie. And it's like, what the fuck? If you're gonna do something original and sci-fi and stuff, you gotta show us something cool, man. Like, come on. Like, I know Zack Snyder can do that, but it's like I just felt like he didn't want to do it. And it's like it just felt boring for most of the time. Yeah, this is. Ugh, I was not impressed with this one, honestly. And
Didn't
I'm a
that
huge
just
sci.
come out
It
too?
just came out like like a couple weeks ago, so
Okay, late
y-
edition.
I know, right? I was, yeah, it's quite a. It's really that bad considering it's this high on the list. Honestly, it was just that boring. Honestly, oh man, Snyder cut it ain't. All right, what's your number two, man? Hey, we got two more. Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah.
First time running low on energy for these last two, huh?
No, I got plenty of
You got
energy,
plenty of energy?
especially for my number one. This one though, like, okay, my number two is The Exorcist Believer.
Oh.
Um, so I don't know if you
Oh,
heard.
we'll be talking about this later on, by the way.
I don't know if you heard this story or not, but suppose that there was a guy who went to go see a movie at AMC Theater,
Hmm.
and he fell asleep during the movie, and he woke up to find that the entire theater was empty. He woke up basically 28 days later style and was a man unto himself. There was no staff, there was no security, there were no customers, the movies were all over. It was just an empty building. And he went on to later post, some recordings on TikTok about like, oh my god, like, does the world end while I was seeing this movie? What happened? And he eventually just kind of he found an emergency exit and he just kind of let himself out. Um,
That was you, huh?
I mean, I can't confirm or deny that I've fallen asleep during a movie before. Sometimes that's been a blessing. And the movie that he saw that put him to sleep was this very movie. And having seen the movie, I get it. I get it. For a movie about demonic possession taking over a couple of kids, this is one of the most sinfully boring movies that I've seen all year. I cannot believe how bored I was by absolutely everything. And that it really kind of sucks because just like with the trailer, the first part of it is really interesting because it's not about the demons or the exorcism or anything like that. It's just about these two little girls who went missing. The blink of an eye, they're just gone. And it actually does a decent enough job at kind of building up that suspense of like, where did these kids go? Like, what happened? It actually is much better at that. And I would have liked to have I wish the movie would have just stayed about that. Because the second that the kids are found and they start doing the same dick that you have seen in every single exorcism movie made in America
Hmm.
in the last 30 years, I'm immediately just like, oh, you feel the decline in quality because all they're doing is copy. Like, again, they're just doing the same thing that, oh, look, they contort their bodies in
It's
ways
every
that
horror
people aren't
cliche.
supposed to. It is every I'm getting real sick, I think, of the genre as a whole. I think I'm kind of done with it, unless it's European or Australian or Asian. Every other country is far more. Maybe just because I haven't been exposed to enough of it. Maybe that's why. I'll confess that maybe that's all it is, right? But because we definitely went through a Ring phase, and there was a point where I got kind of fucking sick of seeing that everywhere. But I'm ready to go back to that because it's writing wise, it's every trope you can think of. Also, editing wise, incredibly dull. Like, I can't, again, it's tough to describe bad editing, but literally, there's lines of dialogue where I can't understand what they're saying because the sound mixing is so bad. Because they couldn't, because it's an outside scene and there's birds chirping and wind blowing, but you're supposed to be able to use equipment designed for that
It's like they
so
didn't
that
have boom
doesn't
mics around
happen.
the set. It's like we couldn't understand anything.
And sometimes the boom mics will still catch some stuff. That's okay. That happens. That's why you have an editor do what they do. But even in the indoor scenes, sequences that take place inside, I'm still like, I can't
It's
understand. I had to put on
like
subtitles just
secluded audio.
I had to put on subtitles because there's a character who talks and he has something in his mouth when he talks. I couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying. I had to put on subtitles to be like, "Oh, that's what he said." Even that's a weird thing to say normally, but why did you have him have something in his mouth when he was talking? Just
Yeah.
a lot of them, they don't know how to tell the story that they're telling. A lot of the movie
Yeah.
just kind of fumbles around. They introduce characters that don't go anywhere, and ultimately, like, it's just like the only thing you have left to work with is the horror element, the scary parts, and because it's all cookie cutter shit we've seen before from movies ripping off The Exorcist from back when the first one came out. None of it's new. It's boring because I've seen this stuff before. Oh look, their skin is like monster skin because they're possessed. Get it? They hiss like demons because they're possessed. Get it? Oh, she's yelling in church. I'm supposed to be safe there. That's scary. It's it's funny because it's like this bigger statement on our country still being afraid of like Christian mythos and these kinds of things because like these movies still do really well. They still sell really well, and I think it has more to do with just
It's just the subject matter, like exorcisms just
it's
sell really
yes,
well.
yeah, it's the subject matter. It's people being like, "Oh, I won't touch a Ouija board." I'm like, it's a game. I'm sorry, it's a fucking game. It's that same audience that will be like that will go and see these kinds of movies. I'm like, I don't understand. There's a disconnect there, but I still tried to watch the movie as it was. And like I said, first 20 minutes or so, I was kind of into it. But then they abandoned that for the lesser movie.
We'll definitely talk about this one a bit later for me, but yeah, man. I definitely agree with everything you said about this film. It's not at all what it should be. I mean, it just
Be
doesn't know what it
scary.
wants to be.
It should be scary,
It
and
should be scary.
it's just fucking
It's
not.
not. It's not scary at all. That's the biggest problem. It's not scary at all. All right.
Here we
So
go.
my number two. Okay, so I
Uh
want to
huh.
preface that these last two films, like I will say like the last two films I saw, like I either left the theater early because it was just that bad, or I turned it off early because it was just that bad. So these
Okay.
last two films
Okay.
are pretty fucking terrible to for me at least.
If you have
Um,
to bail out of it, then yeah.
yeah. So the second to last film I have to mention for this, we did talk about briefly on the last podcast as well, but it was 65 with Adam Driver. I left the theater early for that film because that's how
Oh
fucking bored I
yeah,
was with that film, bro.
I remember you talk. Yeah.
It was so fucking boring, man. Like I could not believe how boring you can make Adam Driver fighting dinosaurs. Like how hard was that to do? Like come on, y'all. Like it should have been interesting at least, but it wasn't. It was just a fetch quest, honestly. And not even a fun
Even
one.
even the most boring dinosaur movies by omission are still kind of entertaining,
Yeah,
even in a so bad it's good kind of way. But
this was just boring, dude. Oh my
yeah,
god. I feel bad for Adam Driver because it's clearly not his fault that he has to work with this terrible script because oh my god, the dialogue is just like awful because he treats this kid like the kid that he's with the in the journey because they crash land on it, but everybody else dies except him and the kid. He treats her like trash, bro. Like, I couldn't believe how he treated her. Like, literally, he hides the fact that her parents are dead, and he literally tells her about her dead parents, literally in the last 10 minutes of the 20 minutes of the film, I think. And it's like, what the fuck? Why would you hide that the whole time? You're so awful. Like, ugh. Yeah, it's just not at all a good movie. Like, I do not recommend it. It's on Netflix apparently, but I still don't even recommend it for a Netflix watch, honestly. Whew. Well, I think we made it to here then. To the dog shit of the pile, did we?
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
you
we're
sure?
here. It's the top of the hill. Okay, so I've talked before about my number one movies being like doing real world damage before. So my number one is The Sound of Freedom.
Oh my goodness gracious, I've heard of this film.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
I know about this film. I didn't watch it, but I actually have read up a bit on it. And man, does it sound like a documentary in and of itself, honestly. Like just from
it
the production alone.
yeah, the production, the whole like the fact that they couldn't sell tickets, so they had to give tickets away to get people to go to see it. And then word of mouth got around, and people were saying, "Oh man, what a brave, hard-hitting movie to talk about child sex trafficking. It's important to go and see this movie." And then it turns out that some of the producers of the movie
We're lying.
were not just lying, but they were involved in child sex trafficking.
Oh, what the fuck? I didn't read that up.
So
Oh my
everyone that
god.
gave money to that movie
Just gave money to child sex traffic.
put
Oh.
money in the pockets of, and
Oh my god.
I couldn't write a better joke if I tried. But
Holy
as
crap.
as just a fit, like, but also like I had people who would be like, I'd be like, oh, sorry, tickets are sold out on that one. Why don't you, here's another movie you can see. And people in that auditorium would come out to me and say, hey, you're lying to people to turn in order to get them to not see it because it's not sold out. There's still seats available. To which I say, yeah, the movie doesn't start for 20 more minutes. So how about you fuck off the tip of my dick and let me do my job? I had like there were actual people like there was conspiracy theories about like, oh, they're trying to silence the movie by turning up the heat and driving us out. I'm like, it's 103 degrees. It's gonna be hot in there
Yeah,
regardless,
it's gonna be fucking hot regardless, bruh.
and also like AC is notorious for breaking in movie theaters. Um, but all of that aside, real world stupidity aside, it is this year's Passion of the Christ. As looking at it as just a movie, it is a film that guilts you into feeling bad, and if you don't like the movie and you don't appreciate it, then you're a bad person. No, no. I'm sorry. The movie as a whole, I will say, I give it props for not shying away. Like it's pretty grim. Like it doesn't shy away from the subject material, which is good because that's kind of the thesis of the movie is to raise awareness, right?
But you're
And
supporting it though.
but you're supporting it. And also, they do it in the most, again, like it's very Passion of the Christ, where it's very emotionally manipulative. The villains of the movie are so over the top comic book stock that I laughed out loud. And don't get me wrong, there are evil people like this in real life. I get it. It's not like it is not trying to suggest that people that do this kind of thing are not evil, But if you're trying to, again, to rally people with the message of your movie, you should maybe make them feel more like real people and not like cartoon villains. You know what I mean? The movie also has a third act problem because it has two third acts. It definitely could have been.
Oh, it has that two ending problem. I
It
gotcha,
has a two
gotcha.
ending problem. Well, because they set up the movie as like, oh, it's about setting up a fake hotel, like a place that sex traffickers would gather, and then it's going to be like a bear trap. We'll pull the, we'll trap them all in there, and we'll get them. And I'm like, okay, that's the plot of our movie. Got it. Well, they do that, and then they move to like Brazil or some shit, and they start a whole other third act. I was like, oh, I kind of thought we were done with the movie. So it definitely has a pacing issue. Um, it's hard to get invested because it's so emotionally manipulative that like I it's kind of the antithesis of Past Lives, ironically, because that movie just kind of let you breathe and feel and get wrapped up in the world, and because it feels natural, you connect with it. This feels very artificial and fake and disingenuous, and now we know why, is because the people
Because it's
involved
we're actual people involved in that shit.
were actually getting involved in that. Yeah. And that's part of the reason why it turns out that it was disingenuous, is because it's doing real world harm while at the same time wearing the guise of progress and trying to spread awareness of a thing. It's like if Super Size Me gave out a coupon for a free Big Mac with every ticket purchase.
And all the DVD covers.
On that, yeah, exactly, yeah. When they used to do that with like movie ticket, here's a free movie ticket to this movie if you buy this one on D. Same kind of thing. Um, it's the combination of the real world damage that it does, the disingenuous nature of it, and the fact that like I have a hard I can't believe that people would actually be tricked into feeling like indentured to the movie. Like, of course, watching it, you don't want to condone what the movie is thesis, its message is, but it's so fucking fake that you just kind of want to be like, nah, though. Like, again, this isn't it. And when movies are, I appreciate movies a lot, and when they're used to trick people and to lie to people, and not even, and again, as a movie, that's bad enough. But even if I remove all that and just look at it as a film, I'm like, really? It's just Passion of the Christ again. It's oh, look at the things that are sad. Doesn't that make you feel sad? Here's more sad. Okay, it gave you an emotional response. Now go tell everyone that it's great movie. I'm like, but it doesn't. It has two third acts and the characters suck, and I can't get I can't get invested. And they introduce characters that disappear for no reason. It's bloated. It's too long. It's written poorly. Just can't get into it.
Man, we don't like movies that promote shitty things, man.
And that can't even stand on their own two feet as a good movie. Like I agree. Yes, we can't let that be condoned. But like, even getting off my moral high horse for a second,
It's just not a good movie.
everyone just being like, "Oh my god, it's the most important movie you'll ever see." I'm like,
Like,
but is it?
fucking no.
Is it that doesn't hold it above the scrutiny of being a good movie, and
Exactly.
it sucks.
I have no interest in seeing it, honestly, so take that
You're
as a no.
honestly, that's the other thing, is like, you're not missing out on anything. I can't even say that like, oh man, it's
I
so
feel like I
terrible you
get
should see
enough
it.
crazy shit on the news already with this type of stuff, so it's like, why do I need a film like this to remind me of that?
10-minute if you really want to take a stance against the kind of stuff that this movie is doing, I feel like people would have already done it. They would
Exactly.
have they would have taken 10 minutes on Google, found the right cause, something local that they could help out with. You could do more help that way than subjecting yourself to 2 hours and 50 minutes of emotional
Man,
torture
it's that
and
long?
manipulation.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it has it doesn't need to be that long. It's because sidebar into a whole other thing about South America or whatever. It doesn't need to.
Yeah, that just sounds ugh, sounds gross in all the ways, honestly. Ugh.
Hmm.
All right, well, it's my time to shine for the dog pile then.
Yeah, let's hear it. What do you got for number one?
You talked about it already, technically, on one of your pick entries.
Ooh.
I saw this during my Halloween watch, on my October watches, because I was doing 31 movies for horror on October,
Mm.
and this was one of my watches, and this was I think my second least favorite on my list, and it's definitely my least favorite film this year for sure. Because, oh my god, I turned it off maybe like almost when it was done. Because I was just like, what the fuck is this the whole time?
Mm.
And that was The Exorcist Believer.
Yay!
To think this even has the Exorcist name is insulting, man.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
insulting.
It's
Like,
stupid.
like I couldn't believe this was by David Gordon Green. Like, what the fuck happened, bro? Like,
Yep.
you made good shit like Righteous Gemstones and Pineapple Express, and fucking even your first Halloween film wasn't that bad, honestly, dude. What happened, man? Oh, it's just, it's just so. Like, I will admit like you said, the first intro of it was kind of interesting setup for a moment, but then
Yeah.
it just gets flat. It just gets so like tedious, honestly. Like it just goes into every horror cliche that you can think of after that. Like it's
Hmm.
not interesting. And to think that they used Ellen Burst in this film is so laughable. Like the fact that they
Yeah.
promoted her throughout the trailers, but she's probably in it for like maybe like 5 minutes at most. Is like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, y'all? Oh, yeah, oh
I
my
can tell
god.
you the exact moment that I turned on that movie and I noticed it was starting to get bad was the obviously the parents are upset, right?
Oh my god. And then and
Kids
then
the kids are gone. And uh one of the parents, not the key parents that
You're
we
talking about
follow.
the other parents, right? The ones that are not
Yeah.
involved with it.
Yeah.
I remember that part. It's so dumb.
There's a cut where he's yelling and he's frustrated. You hear him off camera. He's yelling. And then when it cuts on him, on the action of him kicking over a garbage can, right? First of all, you don't see him kick the garbage can because there's someone dead ass standing right center frame when they cut, blocking the action of him kicking the garbage can. All you see is a garbage can fly out behind a guy, and it takes you a second to realize what's happened, that he's kicked the trash can over in anger. But also, because that person is blocking it, you don't see the dad go up to the trash can and kicking it. There's no wind up to it.
It's terrible editing all around. Like there's no build up to anything.
No.
It's like what the fuck is going on, y'all? It's
And that
like
was I was like, "Oh, that was supposed to be like an emotional beat where we feel for the parents, but it didn't land because
clear, yeah, because there was no build up.
you framed it and pasted it and cut it so poorly that by accident it should have still worked even if one of those elements didn't work, but you failed all three." And that was the moment where I was like, "Uh-oh. I think I think this movie might be
It's pretty
bad."
fucking bad.
And
Like,
like to what you would say about the Halloween movie that he did,
at least
maybe
they were
maybe
somewhat fun.
maybe they looked at those and were like, "Oh man, he did pretty good with those. Let's give him another horror movie." But it's like, yeah, but Michael Myers and The Exorcist
They're
are
not the
not.
same thing.
They play by different rules. They're
Yeah,
different sub. Horror has a lot of subgenres. You know, just like how comedy has a lot of subgenres.
exactly.
There's dark comedy. There's dry comedy. There's gross out humor. There's all kinds.
And
And
then there's
like with
horror. There's like ghosts. There's like zombies. There's like demons. There's a bunch of sub horror out there, and it's like
Mhm.
you don't just give it to the guy who did Michael Myers, honestly. You give it to someone else that is more experienced with the genre, honestly. Like, say for instance, like, I don't know, fucking who did an Exorcist film recently that was good? Oh, Scott Derrickson, who did The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I actually kind of liked that one quite a bit.
That
Was
was
a
not lately.
That was not
You say
lately.
you
It's not
were like,
lately, but
who did one?
he's still a valuable
This is
director to get.
this is exactly my fucking point. Where you were like, what was the last good exorcism movie that I saw?
That is
And you
fucking
thought back
true.
to Exorcism of Emily
That's
Rose,
just
which
like almost 20 years ago, so
because they haven't been good for 20 years. Every now and then you get one by technically the Evil Dead movies are like
yeah, but
demonic
they're not
possession
even
movies,
like that though. Like they're not the
but
same thing
they
as The
are
Exorcist.
exactly. They have enough of their own ideas that they create their own sub genre. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? They're all because they're also zombie movies. They're also occult movies. There are a lot of things kind of mixed into one to make its own identity. You could also like you could have picked a director or a writing team that has a style, like a very specific style to them or like a vision, because at least then the movie would have a little bit more of an identity. It could do things that are a little weirder, things that you wouldn't expect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even if the initial vision is at least like confidently decided on, that's at least some kind of a building block to go off of, right? Like imagine a David Fincher possession movie. What the fuck
Right?
would that
That's
look like?
like apparently he was gonna do a World War Z sequel, like, and I would have been down to see that because I would have been down to see a zombie film from David Fincher, like,
See, there you go,
but they canceled it
right
because
there.
it's like motherfuckers, like you guys, everybody keeps canceling the good movies and they keep giving us the shitty ones for
Hmm.
horror. It feels like if there was one thing I want to end on for David Gordon Green is that he ain't no Jordan Peele.
Yeah, you can sometimes you can roll the dice and gamble and get lucky sometimes with stuff like that, and that kind of shit is great. But like even if you don't want to, yeah, he's definitely no Jordan Peele. But I could also understand maybe not want to take that big of a risk. But like trying to play it safe by just picking another horror director or another well done, like that one Halloween movie was all right. Picking that doesn't that's not a guaranteed success. You know what I mean? And like clearly he didn't know what to do with this because like it's every element of the movie that doesn't work. The camera work isn't doesn't work, the audio doesn't work. None of the actors seem to really give a shit about what they're doing or saying. There's no rise and fall, there's no pacing, there is no like emotional through line. You're just supposed to feel bad because it's kids. Fuck kids. I don't care. Make me care about these two kids in particular.
Yeah, but I don't. I just don't care.
No, because they're gone in the first.
Yeah, I
They're gone in
know.
the first 5 minutes. Then they're missing for another 15, and then they come back and they're like creepy weirdos.
Exactly.
How do I know that they just don't already do this? You know,
uh,
some
yeah,
kids are
man.
creepy. When he flicks the light on and the kid's just standing there, I'm like, what did he fucking teleport in there? But also like, what if she's already kind of a weirdo? How do I know?
Mm-hmm.
I need some contrasting behavior, man. I need to
Yeah.
see the before and the after.
To end on this note here, at least Leslie Odom Jr. and Ellen Burst got paid well. At least they got paid well.
Uh,
Because apparently Ellen Burst did this film to pay off her college classes, like to do like to be a professor. And I'm like, you know what, girl, take that money,
take it and run.
take it and run, man.
Cause like that's some fucking easy money doing
Exactly.
doing doing some shit like this. Not gonna get an opportunity like that again. At least I hope not.
I hope not.
Fucking hope not. Because they were all like, "Oh, we're gonna make two more of these.
Oh,
It's the
I
start of
don't think so.
a new series." Whoops.
Good fucking luck.
Fucking whoops.
Well, I think that's everything then from us, right? That's all the worst films. That's all the best films we've seen. Honorable and
Yeah.
dishonorable mentions.
Well, it's been quite a ride.
It's been quite a 2023 ride, honestly. It's been quite a year. We had a lot of great films, a lot of bad films, a lot of good films, a lot of mediocre films.
Yeah.
But overall, I
There-
mean, I actually thought this was a pretty strong year for film, honestly. Like we've had some really big hitters, honestly, this year too. So,
mm.
I mean, of
Is there
course we've had the shit.
sure. Is
We've had a
there
lot of
anything?
great stuff.
Is there anything in 2024 you're particularly excited for?
Hmm.
Just off the like the top of your
Just off
head.
the top of my head right now, like if I had to
Yeah.
choose like maybe like five currently that I'm thinking of that are on the top of my head,
Mm.
I'm looking forward to Dune Part 2, obviously, from Denis Villeneuve. That's definitely going to be a great film from them, I feel
Yeah.
like. I mean, I love the first Dune, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Mickey 17 from Bong Joon-ho, which also stars Robert Pattinson and Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette.
Hmm.
Definitely looking forward to anything Bong Joon-ho does, so I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Um, Furiosa from George Miller. Fury Road is literally one of my favorite action films of all time. So
Mm.
anything from George Miller, I'm definitely gonna see day one as well. Um, two more I would say. Gladiator 2 from Ridley Scott comes out later this November. I'm definitely
Shut up.
looking. Yeah,
All right.
and it has a damn good cast attached to it. It has Paul Mescal, Denzel Washington, Pedro
Mm.
Pascal.
Of
Like,
course.
I mean, it has a really good cast to it, and I'm very excited to see what Ridley Scott could do with it. I just saw the first Gladiator last year actually, and I really loved it. So I'm
Yeah,
definitely
it's a
looking
great
for.
movie.
I'm definitely looking to see what he could do with the sequel.
Mm.
And the last film I'm gonna mention is actually coming out on Christmas this year is Nosferatu from Robert Eggers. There's already screenshots for this thing and it looks fantastic. Like I cannot wait for this film honestly to see how it looks because I loved The Northman and The Lighthouse from Robert Eggers. So I'm definitely looking
Yeah.
forward to see what he could do with the Nosferatu, especially with the way he's describing it, saying it's definitely a gothic horror feel, like a very much 1920s feel. It just
Hmm.
makes me even more excited, honestly.
Mm.
So yeah, those are five that really popped in my head right now. Did you have any that you are excited for, perhaps?
Um, I mean, I am looking forward to Deadpool 3 just for like
Mm-hmm.
a purely I'm just curious what they're gonna fucking do
Yeah, I'm definitely
with
looking
the
forward to that one
merger.
too. That's probably the superhero movie I'm looking forward to the most that year.
That's really the only one
Yeah,
I'm
the
looking
only one
forward
I'm looking
to.
forward to.
But those films have been solid so far. I would
Mm-hmm.
argue that the first and the second one are pretty similar, but
They're still good films.
they're still good. I would still argue that like two of the same that are good. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I am also looking forward to Dune Part Two.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually a little bummed we weren't getting that this
I
year.
know. I mean, that would have been on the list if it did come out this year, probably. But
Yeah.
we'll see though. This coming year,
Yeah, we'll see.
2 months.
Um, I am looking forward to um, Argyle, Guy Ritchie's new spy
Oh,
movie.
right. I do have that on the list too on here. That
Yeah,
I'm damn
even
looking forward to that one too.
the cat looks fake as fuck. But other than that,
I
like
like Matthew
one of
Vaughn.
the one of the actual fakest cats I've ever seen in my life. But um, I mean, he does very visually, like very eye popping movies, and it's returning to spy fare, so I'm into that.
It has a good cast.
Um, yeah, it's a good cast. I want to see Lisa Frankenstein. I don't know if you've
I
caught
think I
wind of
did
that.
hear about that actually, but I don't know too much
I'm.
about it.
It's being directed by Zelda Williams. It's kind of
Oh, okay.
her directorial debut. And that's the big thing for me is I want to see what kind of voice she has behind the camera. I want to see kind of what she's going to bring to a story that I've seen before.
Gotcha.
You know, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do want to see. I mean, we talked a bit about how I wasn't too high on the last Spider Verse movie. It was fine, I thought, but I am curious to see how it all wraps up.
If it does come out this year, though, is it gonna come out this year?
I'm optimistic that it will come out this year.
All right. Well, if Beyond the Spider-Verse does come out this year, then I will say that's probably my most superhero film that I'm looking forward to the most. Then
Yeah.
next year.
Um, and then what did I say that for? I am. I do want to see Madam Web because I think it looks
Oh
so
my
fucking bad.
God.
I think it looks so bad that like I think it would be a fun time. I think there's so many bad things in that
It looks
trailer.
so bad, but I
It
mean,
looks
it could be
terrible.
entertaining.
If the whole movie is as entertaining as that trailer was in a bad way, then like we could have the next Catwoman on our hands. And that's not
Oh
something to shy
man,
away from. I want to be able to say I was there.
I
I
was
want to
there
say
with Madam Web.
I was there when it happened. Not missing my shot, man.
All right, well, that's all of our movies list now for this year and anticipated for this year. Um, Thank you again, Kale, for taking the long time for actually doing this. Damn, we've been doing this for almost 4 hours now. It's probably
It's
the
always
longest one
fun.
we've done. But
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun doing this with you. It's always a pleasure talking movies all the time
Yeah.
with you, and just talking movies in general with everybody is just a great time to talk about because I feel like
Yeah.
movies just unifies everybody in a way that
Yeah.
that we think about, you know? Like we just like to talk about what we liked, what we don't like, what should be improved in the industry, what we should be promoting and stuff like that, what we shouldn't be promoting. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just love movies, man. I love talking about this shit all the time, even if it does piss me off sometimes.
We get passionate because we love it.
We do love it though, and I
Yeah.
always will love movies. So again, thank you again for taking your time. Where can they find you again on social media if you have any out there?
My primary ones are my YouTube and my Twitch. I'm gonna try and I put more YouTube content out this year than last year. I was pretty lazy, especially with got the new Godzilla Kong movie coming out this next year. I've been sitting on a script for a video essay on the last Godzilla Kong movie they did, and I just
Mm-hmm.
haven't been able. I got discouraged because fun fact, someone else put out a video very similar to what I wanted to do. They even picked the exact same title for the video
Oh.
that I was gonna pick, and it's a good video, but it definitely made me be like, well, what's the point now? So I just kind of I've been sitting on the script for a while, but with the new one coming out, I have some other thoughts I want to add to it. So I'll try and get that out before sometime in the first half this year. But yeah, my YouTube, that Samoan guy, my Twitch, that Samoan guy. You can find most of my stuff there.
All right. Well, thank you again for promoting that. And of course, you can subscribe here if you like what you saw, and
Hmm.
you can always find me on Twitter as well.
Hmm.
And you can always find me on what's it? I think that's it, just Twitter, yeah. I think just Twitter and this YouTube, yeah. All right, well, that's it, guys. Thank you again for hearing us tell us about our movies from 2023 and some of our most anticipated of 2024. And we hope to see you guys next time for the next
Yeah.
list. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Have a good year, everybody.
Happy New Year, y'all.